जो लाखों उद्योगों, ट्रेड एंड इंडस्ट्रीज के साथ के प्रतिनिधि संस्था के रूप में देश में काम करते हैं, उनसे बात कर रहा हूं, तो मैं ये कहने में बिल्कुल भी अतिशयोक्ति नहीं होगी कि ग्रोथ का इंजन जो है वो इकोनॉमी के साथ में बढ़ है.
In addition to our headquarters in Delhi and 25 regional offices in India, PHDCCI at the global level, the Chamber has been working with the embassies and high commissions in India and overseas to bring in the international best practices and business opportunities. With the in-house expertise, PHDCCI offers advisory services to Indian industries on most aspects of their business and have separate MSME cell, an IPR facilitation center in Delhi, and regional offices providing services to MSMEs and other members. PHDCCI offers state-of-the-art conferencing facilities like auditoriums, conference rooms, boardrooms, and meeting rooms in its own offices located in Delhi, Chandigarh, Lucknow, and Jaipur.
As PG Chambers works at a grassroots level and the states are its major strength, PG Chamber would work on percolation of dynamic reforms undertaken by the center at the grassroots level so that reforms are visible and fruitful for trade, industry, and people. PG Chamber will continue to address factory level issues through various representations to the various departments of the Government of India and state governments.
PHDCCI provides opportunities to be a part of expert committees, task forces, wherein views of the Chamber are formulated on topical issues through deliberations in these committees or task forces and shared with the government for favorable consideration. PhD Chamber provides excellent networking opportunities with government officials, diplomats, leading names from all spheres of life, including business peers. PHDCCI has a bouquet of services to energize the industry and boost business growth. Some of them are certification services, energy audit services, Center for International Arbitration and Mediation, PCIAM, and Water Audit Center. We have been contributing in 8 trust areas, that is, industrial development, education and skill development, infrastructure development, green energy, agribusiness and food processing, indigenization in defense manufacturing, Ayush and health, and Digital India.
PHDCCI envisages New India, Dream India. The next 25 years of Amrit Kal would provide great opportunities to build a new India. The economy will attain its potential growth rate of double digits, becoming the 3rd largest economy in world ecosystem. The manufacturing sector will be globally competitive, and the manufacturing exports will shift from USD billions to USD trillions every year. The agriculture sector will be sufficient not only to serve the domestic population, but also will be significantly visible in the global agri and food exports. We envisage a new India where millions of jobs are created for the growing young population and socio-economic development of the nation, which is moving to a developed economy.
PHDCCI continuously contributes towards structural improvements in export and logistics infrastructure, supply chain management, and value chains of MSMEs and startups, and simplification of various export incentive schemes, with the aim to push the growth trajectory of exports to the next level. Enhancing India's export competitiveness along with catalyzing diversification of export markets have been priorities for us during the ongoing Amrit Mahotsav.
I would like to compliment PhD Chamber that they are organizing this program so that there is greater awareness. And if I can leave a little task, that do seek opinion of people so that if we want to inject something better into the system, which we can.
The Chamber has been a thought leader, and more than 40% of the representations sent by the Chamber have been accepted by the government. The PHDCCI has organized more than 600 national and international events and conferences in virtual, physical, as well as hybrid modes. Some of the flagship events organized by PhD Chambers includes post-budget interactive session on implications of Union Budget 2022-23.
India shall be the fastest growing economy among the large economies. I'm sure it'll also be because you have come forward.
Second International Conference on Defense and Security in association with the Ministry of MSME, Government of India. Standalone session on geopolitical spillovers and Indian economy with Dr. M.D. Patra, Deputy Governor, Reserve Bank of India.
It would be remiss of me to go further without mentioning that I have actually been in touch with the PhD Chamber of Commerce and Industry for almost 20 years. A figure in our survey of professional forecasters, the RBI conducts a survey of everyone who forecasts, and their work figures very prominently. Actually, they figure in what we call the fan chart. We have a fan chart around a projection which describes the balance of risks.
37th edition of Ambassadors Meet 2022 with the theme Fostering International Economic Cooperation. International Climate Summit 2022, an initiative of the Indo-Norwegian Partnership, was organized by the PhD Chamber of Commerce and Industry and Greenstat AS in Bergen, Norway, in partnership with Invest India. The India-centric summit focused especially on exploring opportunities for green hydrogen in India. The event received extensive coverage from media houses in India and Norway. PhD CCI organized Education Summit 2022 at PhD House, New Delhi. Chief guest, Dr. Jitendra Singh, Honorable Minister of State, Independent Charge, Science and Technology and Earth Sciences, Government of India. An interactive session with members of Parliament on ease of doing business in India. States Policy Conclave 2021 on the macroeconomic resilience of the states in the pandemic times, and release of PhD CCI report on the role of states in making Atmanirbhar Bharat.
I once again congratulate PhD Chambers of Commerce for selecting this very appropriate theme for discussion today, and also thankful to them for inviting me here.
And I must acknowledge without hesitation that PhD Chamber has been always playing a leading role in the trade, development and growth journey of India, and always ready to promptly take up the new trends that emerge, which is also evident from the fact that we are today under one roof here to discuss the subject of startups.
Webinar on the stories of unsung women heroes, featuring inspiring journey of women entrepreneurs. PhD CCI organized the Transgender Leadership Conclave, a first of its kind conclave done by any Chamber of Commerce, which emphasizes on the need of diversity inclusion in the society. PhD CCI organized the first lecture of Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose Memorial Lecture Series. The chief guest was Shri G. Kishan Reddy, Honorable Union Minister of Tourism, Culture and DONER, Government of India, towards exchanging insights and deliberate on the growth of key sectors of the country. PhD CCI delegates have several call-on meetings, including Honorable Vice President of India, Shri Jagdeep Dhankar, and meetings with Honorable Raksha Mantri, Shri Rajnath Singh, Honorable Commerce and Industry Minister, Shri Piyush Goyal, and other Union Cabinet Ministers, Ministers of States, Chief Ministers, and other prominent dignitaries. PhD CCI is appreciated by everyone for their commendable endeavor in policy advocacy, upliftment of Indian industry, contribution to expansion of bilateral trade and social work. This year also presented occasions to welcome some of the prominent personalities from different fields, and PhD CCI has leveraged these occasions for widening the horizon of knowledge. PhD CCI has signed numerous MOUs with the aim to establish and develop effective links between the business communities to promote mutual trade and investment, and also facilitate interaction between the members to improve cooperation to achieve an inclusive growth for the nation. We have also been simultaneously enriching the lives of millions of fellow citizens through our CSR IMR platform. The two foundations, namely FWF and RDF, represent our deep dedication through their interventions for environment protection and well-being of marginalized population.
The double shock of COVID-19 crisis and Russia-Ukraine war has led to rising risks to global economy. However, Indian economy is projected to grow at the fastest rate as compared to the other leading economies in the world. PhD Chamber of Commerce and Industry has undertaken slew of initiatives to rejuvenate economy and businesses from the daunting impact of pandemic and recent geopolitical distress between Russia and Ukraine. The PhD Chamber represented more than 300 micro and macro level of issues of trade and industry to the various departments of Government of India and state governments, of which more than 200 have been very kindly accepted by the dignitaries.
Make in India brings infinite opportunities for Indian manufacturers to fulfill the domestic demand and meet international quality standards of the products. At this historical juncture of India's emergence, which are being celebrated as Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav, the PhD Chamber stands like a pillar of strength for the industry and in solidarity with the government to make in India for the world. We would like to thank our annual sponsors, patron and star members for their continued support in taking the vision of PhD CCI to newer heights. Intertwined with an eternal philosophy of affinity and prosperity, India is now one of the fastest growing big economies. It is a perfect melting pot of aim and ambition from where a future is rising to inspire the whole world. Propelled by the vision of the Honorable Prime Minister of India, standing in its 75th year of independence, India is poised to resurge its era of growth, greatness, and preeminence.
आज जब हम अमृत काल में प्रवेश कर रहे हैं, अगले 25 वर्ष हमारे देश के लिए अत्यंत महत्वपूर्ण है.
A true form.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for having me here. Wow. First of all, अभी मेरे को यश ने बोला कि this audience gets audience, auditorium gets audience because कोई minister है या कोई बड़ा आदमी है, तो फिर मैंने सोचा कि मैं बहुत बड़े आदमी और मिनिस्टर के साथ बैठूंगा जो कि मेरा दोस्त साकेत है. Thank you so much, Saket, for hosting and inviting.
No, I think Shekhar, thank you goes to you. I know you have a very, very busy schedule and that you could squeeze it in on my request. So thank you so much.
And I think I want to tell you all, साकेत के साथ मैं दावोस में था और दावोस में बिल्कुल ये जिंदगी मिलेगी ना दोबारा वाला हो जाता है जिसमें कि दो बिछड़े हुए यार मिलते हैं, वैसी वाली फीलिंग आ गई हमें. And then we had lots of fun. And since then, obviously we together are part of our G20 startup committee and then here. So thank you again. And thank you all of you. You are seriously large in number. मुझे लगा हम एक cozy सा conversation करेंगे. And I want to remind, which I was telling you outside, that this auditorium used to be the auditorium we used to take on rent जब हम college में थे, Delhi College of Engineering, DC. So way back in 98, 94, 96, those days, this auditorium will be hosted by us. Troika, 96, 97, 98. मुझे याद है मैं उसमें यहाँ पे attend. So I've been the host on this stage, chasing things done. So it's a very interesting journey के audience से इधर बैठा दिया आपने.
But thank you. I think before I ask you anything,
Thank you.
so I just wanted to share what he just said, that, you know, it was a golden moment when before I met him at the World Economic Forum. The Vijay Shekhar was this larger than life person I had never met. And the
बाहर
minute
आके पता चला इसकी तो बॉडी लार्जर देन लाइफ, ऐसे तो बहुत ही नॉर्मल सा लड़का।
हमारी बॉडी तभी जब इसने बोला यार यहाँ चार्ट मिल रहा है, बोला यार ये तो बंदा अपने टाइप का है।
बट ये एक और बात मैं बताना चाहता हूँ, मैं कॉलेज के टाइम में आई यूज्ड टू बी वेरी लाइट वेट, एंड आई मीन इट, लाइट वेट मींस लेस देन 50 kgs। मतलब मेरी वेस्ट साइज इवन 28 टाइप होती थी, और लोग मेरे को कॉलेज में मजाक उड़ाया करते थे कि फूक मारूंगा उड़ जाएगा। एंड अब यहाँ पे भगवान ने, मेरे को लगता है कि उस टाइम पे मैं रोता सोता होऊंगा, भगवान ये क्या कर दिया मेरे साथ, होगा तथास्तु, अब ओवरडू हो गया।
अब तो जिसको फूक मारेगा वो उड़ जाएगा।
2x growth, like unexpected growth. But I rather wish that I would have had that kind of life. I mean, I can say, yeah.
But so I think what he just said, that when I met him, our friendship was instantaneous. The connect was instant. And thanks to Yash, whom we are going to have join later. I mean, and I must share कि उस शाम को जब सारी दुनिया विजय के पीछे थी, इसने बोला यार ये बहुत भीड़ है, सबको मुझसे कोई मतलब है, मैं यहाँ नहीं बैठूंगा, चलो पिज्जा खाते हैं। और
वेजिटेरियन आदमी, और वेजिटेरियन आदमी की बस एक ही पहचान होती है कि लंच और डिनर के टाइम पे वो याया वरों की तरह से वेजिटेरियन ढूंढ रहा होता है। यहाँ वहाँ। So Saket was kind, और ठंड पड़ रही थी, it was quite snowy and so on, and it was good fun.
और उस रात को हम लोग जब बैठ के, he was frank enough to share pizzas with everybody. सबके एक ट्राई किया इसने, मेरी वाली भी।
Very nice. I mean, Saket, I want to tell this, and I think a lot of people know us, so we are talking, and the intention is to talk that. A lot of people underestimate the human part of being human normal, and मुझे ये surprise होता है कि मैंने पिज़्ज़ा share किया, मुझे लगता है इसके अलावा क्या करते हैं? The how else should it be? Otherwise क्या है? आपके पास अच्छा पिज़्ज़ा ऑर्डर हुआ है तो मैं तो खाऊंगा ना।
But वो रात was transformational. Apart from the pizza, the fact is that विजय ने डिसाइड किया कि यार मुझे बड़े छोटे कोई से मतलब नहीं है, मुझे एनर्जाइज होना है अच्छे इंटरेस्टिंग यंग लोगों के संग। And that evening we ended up in a pizza parlor, and I think we were 10-12 of us, mostly startups who were from all parts of the world, mostly from the Indian diaspora. और उस दिन उस रात जो कॉन्वर्सेशन विजय ने शेयर की हमारे संग फ्रेंकली, मैं चाहता था कि वो चीज हम अपने चेंबर के मेंबर्स के संग भी शेयर करें। The frank, forthright Vijay and his amazing, beautiful thought process.
Thank you.
So I think we are all here to be inspired by you, Vijay. To begin with, the first question which comes to my mind is, what was that Three Idiots moment in your life? ये कैसे start हुआ? ये क्या हुआ?
So very real, very real, and so if you notice, मैं कुछ रिंग घड़ी वड़ी कुछ पहनता नहीं हूँ। तो कुछ लोग होते हैं जिनको बड़ा अनकंफर्ट होता है हाथ में कुछ चेन वगैरह उससे पहनने में, तो मेरा फोन वगैरह भी मैं टेबल पे रख देता हूँ। तो मैं ऐसे करके वॉलेट और फोन अपना टेबल पे रख के बात करता हूँ। नॉर्मली ऑफिस में भी मैं ऐसे निकाल के बैठा रहता हूँ। नाउ व्हाट हैपेंड वाज, मैं एक लाउंज में था, दिल्ली से मैं LA जा रहा था, और वहाँ पे मेरा वॉलेट और फोन रखा हुआ है। आई रिसीव्ड अ कॉल, मैं कॉल पे निकल के और मैं फ्लाइट में बोर्ड करके वॉलेट वहीं छोड़ के चला गया। एंड ऑब्वियसली नाउ आई लैंडेड ऑन हांगकांग, कैथे की फ्लाइट थी। थोड़ी देर में मुझे पता चला कि मेरे पास वॉलेट भी नहीं है, क्योंकि मुझे लगा मैं कॉफ़ी खरीदूँ। एंड देन आई वाज लाइक ओ माय गॉड, ये आएगा नहीं आएगा। सो ऑफिस वाले लोगों ने फिर मेहनत करके 2-3 दिन बाद US में पहुँचाया। एंड आई बाई बैक बोरो होता है कि किसी से कि यार तू कार्ड भेजो सर आपके नाम पे, 2 दिन बाद में दे दूंगा, मतलब ड्रामा हुआ। एंड दैट टाइम आई सिंपली थॉट कि हर एक पॉकेट में फोन है और हर एक पॉकेट में वॉलेट है, तो फिर ये तो इस पे मर्ज होएगा ही होएगा। एंड इट्स अ वेरी स्ट्रेट फॉरवर्ड थ्योरी दैट इफ इट इज सो यूबिक्विटसली सेम kept to next to each other, it will come on the phone. So मैंने बहुत सेल्फिश होते हुए, और मैं जैसा साकेत को मालूम है और बहुत सारे जो मेरे मित्रगण हैं ऑडियंस में उनको मालूम होगा कि मैं बड़ा स्ट्रीट फूड और नॉट नेसेसरली द ऑर्गेनाइज्ड रिटेल कस्टमर हूँ, मेकिंग इट that I wanted to solve for that customer जहाँ पे मैं जाता हूँ। तो I wanted to solve for the tea shop, गोलगप्पे की दुकान, टिक्की की दुकान, रोल्स, इन लोगों के लिए। That made it कि इनके लिए solve करते हैं। And that is why the QR was brought out, because मुझे ये समझ में आ चुका था कि ये लोग एक कार्ड मशीन वगैरह में इन्वेस्ट नहीं करेंगे। And obviously the revolution was that smartphone was having computing, internet connection and everything else. So we were like, सारी कंप्यूटिंग जो एक मशीन में होती है, जो नेटवर्क और कंप्यूटिंग होती है, उसको स्विच कर देता है, 180 डिग्री स्विंग कर देता है। तो क्यूआर उसको दे देते हैं और अपने पास ये कर लेते हैं फोन पे. That idea came about. Now, interestingly, I want to also share an interesting fact here. I obviously have had Chinese shareholder and I've had luxury of visiting China. So China used to have a QR code where the shopkeeper will scan the QR code of a customer. जब हम यहाँ पे करते हैं तो हमारा कैमरा खुलता है, वहाँ पे QR कोड खुलता था कस्टमर का, एंड दुकानदार उसको स्कैन कर लेता था, जैसे कि हम एक ऐसे जब हम बिलिंग करने जाते हैं तो वो स्कैन कर रहे होते हैं QR. तो वो मैंने देखा तो मुझे समझ में आया कि ये ना चलेगा नहीं इंडिया में, क्योंकि दुकानदार के पास एक कंप्यूटर खरीदना, फिर उसके बाद स्कैनर क्यूआर स्कैनर को खरीदना, इसके पैसे नहीं आएंगे. सो आई वाज वेरी वेरी क्लियर दैट दिस इज नॉट हैपनिंग. एंड आई इवन दो दे वर माय शेयर होल्डर्स एंड दे वांटेड टू स्विंग अराउंड इट बाय सेइंग कि ये बिजनेस चलेगा नहीं, तो मेरा ये कहना है कि हमारे यहाँ पे कस्टमर को मिलेगा नहीं. तो आप लोगों को पता ही है कि कस्टमर जब दिखा रहा होता है पेमेंट, तो दुकानदार को ये ट्रस्ट नहीं होता था कि पेमेंट आई नहीं आई. फिर आगे जाके हमने साउंड बॉक्स में कन्वर्ट किया, उसको जाके आगे आके अपने डिवाइसेस में कन्वर्ट किया. सो थिंग्स लेड फ्रॉम 1 2 3 टू समथिंग एल्स. इवेंचुअली इट बिकेम दैट इट इज अ पेटीएम मॉडल. तो मैं आप लोगों को एक इंटरेस्टिंग बात बताना चाहता हूँ कि क्यूआर जापान ने इन्वेंट किया, पेमेंट के लिए चाइना ने यूज किया, बट जो दुकानदार को क्यूआर देने का मॉडल है दुनिया में, वो पेटीएम मॉडल है. और जब मैं साउथ ईस्ट एशिया में गया डिफरेंट कंट्रीज में फॉर डिफरेंट रीजंस एंड आई मेट एंटरप्रेन्योर्स, तो वो मेरे को बोलते थे हमारा ना पेटीएम मॉडल है. एंड आई यूज्ड टू से पेटीएम मॉडल क्या होता है? द शॉपकीपर गेट्स अ क्यूआर एंड दैट मॉडल इज कॉल्ड पेटीएम मॉडल नाउ इन द वर्ल्ड. दैट दिस इज कॉल्ड पेटीएम मॉडल.
Wow.
So journey started from a very selfish move, ended up becoming called a Paytm model. And Masa in Japan, जो मेरे शेयर होल्डर भी हैं, तो उन्होंने भी हमसे एक बार क्वेश्चन पूछा कि now that you have built it, now Japan has a choice to take either Jack Ma, who is his friend and shareholder, vice versa, or some other model. And I think Japan and China were going through what India and China are going through right now. So उन्होंने मेरे से पूछा कि will you like to build it for Japan also? And then I was lucky कि हमने चांस लिया. 2018 एंड में हमने उसमें जापान में लॉन्च किया और हम अभी 4 साल हो गए हैं और वहाँ पे हम $2 billion रेवेन्यू कंपनी है और we make tons of money there and it is we own large chunk of that equity. It's not factored in our equity and stock ownerships because ठीक है public market है जैसे है वैसे है, but at the same point of time the Japan business is my personal high, क्योंकि एज अ टेक्नोलॉजी कंपनी इन इंडिया वी ऑल हैव बीन अ बैक ऑफिस प्रोवाइडर्स. मतलब हम लोगों के यहाँ पे अगर आप देखो तो आईटी सर्विस से हम लोगों ने स्टार्ट किया. वी वर द कोट एंड कोट चीप लेबर एंड मैं कहूँगा कि चीप लेबर तो नहीं थे बट कॉस्ट इफेक्टिव लेयर जरूर थे. और जब हमारे यहाँ पे आईटी सर्विसेज कंपनी ने बिजनेस एक्सपेंड करा तो वो बैक ऑफिस से स्टोर में घुस गए, जिसको कहते हैं कॉल सेंटर, कि मतलब कॉल सेंटर करने लगे. और मेरे को हमेशा ये लगता था कि क्या हम इंडिया से कोई ऐसी टेक्नोलॉजी बना सकते हैं जो दुनिया में जाए, और जब हम लैंड करें तो कहें कि इंडिया की टेक्नोलॉजी है. तो जब वो जापान में सब जगह आप जाओ वहाँ पे पे क्यूआर है, हमारा ब्रांड नेम वहाँ पे, और वो मतलब जब दिखता है तो मुझे बड़ा खुशी होती है कि जिस कंट्री ने क्यूआर इन्वेंट करा उस कंट्री को क्यूआर पेमेंट हम.
क्या बात है, अमेजिंग.
बड़ी साकेत, आप भी तो बहुत ट्रैवल करते हो, तो आपको लगता होगा ना जब कभी लैंड करो किसी कंट्री में, ये वहाँ का, ये वहाँ का, ये यहाँ का, हमारा क्या, हम सर आपका ऑफिस चला देते हैं. नहीं जी, अब आपकी बैंक भी हमारी होगी, आपका पेमेंट भी हमारा होगा, आपकी करेंसी भी हमारी होगी. मतलब ये ऑब्वियसली एम्बिशन है.
Amazing. So as he shared, he's in Japan and 6-7 countries more, if I'm not
Yes,
mistaken.
we are there, but हमारा प्राइमरी मार्केट इंडिया रहता है और ये सब हमारे कंट्री पार्टनरशिप से हैं. So we have a local equity partner who does the cost takeover for us.
So, we have a lot of youngsters here today. Even my daughter graduated with a master's last week. I pulled her here from the UK. And a lot of us have had a platform. A lot of us have had things to, learn. I know that you had a very challenging beginning. If you can share with us 2 important things. First part is the educational journey, and the second part is what you had to give to get a start. I would want you to share that because it's an inspiration.
सेकंड पार्ट के लिए संजीव हैं इस कमरे में, मैंने देखा उनको.
सबको सब कुछ मालूम है, आपके मुंह से सुनना जरूरी है.
So I don't come from a background of, let's say, a school or college where the education medium was English, which made a very interesting childhood. मैं एक अग्रसेन इंटर कॉलेज हरदुआगंज का छात्र हूँ. Now अग्रसेन इंटर कॉलेज stands for कि उत्तर प्रदेश माध्यमिक शिक्षा परिषद यूपी बोर्ड के स्कूल्स जो K-12 तक के होते हैं उनको इंटर कॉलेज कहते हैं, और 10 और 12 वो लोग वहाँ से पढ़ते हैं। तो मेरी जो एजुकेशन थी वो हिंदी में हुई, और मेरी सिस्टर्स भी हिंदी में MA वगैरह पढ़ी हुई हैं। तो पहली बात तो बहुत फनी रही कि मैं हिंदी भाषी क्षेत्र से था, जिसमें कि मुझे हिंदी में गर्व था। मैं बहुत अच्छे तरीके से हिंदी की लैंग्वेज पढ़ सकता हूँ, और मैं कॉम्प्लेक्स हिंदी भी पढ़ सकता हूँ। मतलब कभी कभार तो मुझे कोई आता है कि मैं हिंदी में सोचता हूँ, फिर इंग्लिश में ट्रांसलेट करता हूँ। लेकिन मुझे किसी ने एक अच्छा लेसन दिया था, हाउ टू स्पीक फ्लुएंट वुड बी दैट यू थिंक इन इंग्लिश। Well, going back, so my childhood was that I did not have luxury or privilege of going to a convent or an English medium school, and I'm sort of lucky in that, क्योंकि जो मेरे को उस एक्सपीरियंस में मिला वो था कि मुझे इंडिया देखने को मिला, मुझे अपना कंट्री देखने को मिला, जिसमें नाउ लैंग्वेज के कारण जब इंजीनियरिंग कॉलेज एंट्रेंस टेस्ट था बहुत फनी था। आप लोगों ने दूसरे लैंग्वेज में हैव यू एवर ट्राइड रीडिंग सम अदर लैंग्वेज? एंड हम लोग कुछ बार हम देख रहे होते हैं, फिर हम डिसाइफर कर लेते हैं दूसरे कंट्री में जाएंगे, वी स्टार्ट टू अंडरस्टैंड व्हाट इज इट ट्राइंग टू से इफ वी सी इट ऑफ्टन। तो मेरे को जब इंजीनियरिंग कॉलेज का एंट्रेंस टेस्ट देने की तैयारी की बारी आई, एंड दिस वाज द टाइम दैट आई हैड टू ट्रांसलेट टू इंग्लिश, बिकॉज एंट्रेंस टेस्ट ऑफ इंजीनियरिंग इज एक्सट्रीमली अनइंक्लूसिव। सारी पढ़ाई इंजीनियरिंग कॉलेज के एंट्रेंस की इंग्लिश में, जो हिंदी और रीजनल लैंग्वेज में उसकी सब्जेक्ट बुक भी नहीं आती, इंक्लूडिंग CBSE। मतलब ये माना जाता है कि जो इंग्लिश पढ़ते हैं वही इंजीनियरिंग कॉलेज जाएंगे। अभी तो मुझे पता नहीं क्या होता है, अभी मुझे ये लगता है कि इंग्लिश वहाँ पहुंच गई है, रीजनल लैंग्वेज यहाँ नहीं आई है। बट आई एम हैप्पी टू से कि कोई ऐसी नुकसानदायक बात नहीं है, लोगों को इंग्लिश भी सीखना चाहिए। आई एम नॉट फॉर नॉट स्टडीइंग इंग्लिश, आई एम फॉर दैट वी शुड हैव अ चांस टू अपीयर एट। तो इंजीनियरिंग कॉलेज एंट्रेंस टेस्ट बहुत फनी था। मेरे को अब जब 1-2 महीने में आप कैसे पढ़ते हो, 2 किताबें एक साथ पढ़ते हो। सम ऑफ यू नो लाला हरदयाल लाइब्रेरी है यहाँ पे, तो लाला हरदयाल की एक खास बात थी कि ही कुड रीड 2 बुक टुगेदर। और एक्चुअली मैंने 2 किताबें साथ में पढ़ी क्योंकि मुझे उनके बारे में मालूम था, तो मैं ऐसे पढ़ रहा होता था। और मतलब फिजिक्स को कॉम्प्लेक्स होता है समझने के लिए, तो संहति गुणा वेग संवेग, mass multiplied velocity equal to momentum. So I used to try to interpret the language that I could understand. अब entrance test की बारी आई. Now there are 2 kind of entrance tests that engineering college entrance have. One is objective type, another is narrative kinds. So objective type में मेरे पास ट्रिक थी, आप मेरे को आंसर बता दो, मैं बता दूंगा क्वेश्चन। आप मेरे को 4 आंसर दे दो बिना क्वेश्चन पूछे हुए, मैं उन आंसर के पैटर्न के बेसिस पे बता दूंगा कि कौन सा आंसर है और फिर क्वेश्चन क्या होना चाहिए। नाउ दैट स्किल वाज दैट आई वुड रीड डायमेंशंस, आई वुड रीड द सॉल्यूशंस। केमिस्ट्री इजी अंडरस्टैंडिंग के लिए, फिजिक्स टफ होती है, एंड बायोलॉजी एक्सेट्रा इजी हो जाते हैं। तो मैंने आंसर पढ़ के क्वेश्चन दिया। मैं दिल्ली कॉलेज में इवेंचुअली 9th रैंक आया नेशनली, आई मीन जस्ट बाय दिस। इसे कहते हैं फ्लूक, इसे कहते हैं फ्लूक या भगवान की सीधी कृपा। मेरा तो मानना है कि जिन भी लोगों को लगता है कि आपकी जिंदगी में बहुत अच्छा हो रहा है या बहुत बुरा हो रहा है, वो भगवान की जेन्युइनली या तो लेसन मोड चल रही है या फिर एक कृपा चल रही है, उसके अलावा कोई रियल रीजन नहीं है। जब मैं कॉलेज में एंटर किया मैं, तो वहां पे मेरे साथ तारे ज़मीं पर हो गया था, बिकॉज टीचर इंग्लिश में बात करते हैं और मैं फ्रंट बेंचर था। सो दैट यू नो इट, आई वॉज 14 year old when I completed my class 12, making it 1 year drop, 15-year-old for me to enter at Delhi School of Engineering, making it teenager, which is the youngest engineer. I'm a youngest engineer of DU, Delhi University में होता था Delhi School of Engineering उस time पे, because I was a teenager, 19. But अब बड़ा ड्रामा ये हुआ कि not just I was young for the age, I was also in the company of, मैं आया अलीगढ़ के पास एक टाउन हरदोगंज से, और आ गया मैं ये चमकती दुनिया कॉल्ड दिल्ली में। और DCE, as we all remember that, is a lots of, I would say, Delhi people, you know, quote unquote Delhi people. अब तो मैं भी Delhi people हूँ, और बाहर वाले के लिए दिल्ली वाले लोग बहुत शूशा होते हैं। मतलब दिल्ली वाले के लिए शायद बॉम्बे वाले शूशा होते होंगे, लेकिन दिल्ली बाहर वाले के लिए दिल्ली वाले बहुत शूशा होते हैं। और DPS की जनता तो भरी पड़ी थी तो DPS की जनता के साथ पहले तो आप इंफीरियोरिटी कॉम्प्लेक्स में आते हो, फिर आप हॉस्टल में आते हो, और फिर आप क्लास में आते हो। So you can guess that I was early jumping, skipping classes, reaching 12th meant that I was a good student. So I would be in the front row of the class. So now teacher would speak something and मेरी समझ में नहीं आएगा। मुझे आज भी याद है, मिस्टर भट्टाचार्य प्रोफेसर थे जो हमारे इलेक्ट्रॉनिक्स एंड कम्युनिकेशन के हेड ऑफ डिपार्टमेंट भी थे। उन्होंने मेरे को खड़ा किया और उन्होंने मेरे से कुछ क्वेश्चन पूछा एंड ऑब्वियसली पिंक फ्लॉयड का गाना है, योर लिप्स मूव बट आई कांट हियर व्हाट यू से। आप कुछ कह रहे हो मुझे समझ में नहीं आ रहा। अब प्रॉब्लम ये थी कि मैं बिल्कुल स्तब्ध, हिंदी में कहेंगे स्तब्ध, इंग्लिश में कहेंगे स्टोन्ड। So I stood up and he asked me a question and I did not answer, and then he just did not bother, and then he got me up and अब मैं इधर उधर देख रहा था, उन्होंने मेरे को चौक मारा। Oh my God, as a school topper, class topper, everything else, and then as a student who was young, this was such a horrible feeling। मैं धीरे धीरे करके पीछे 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 और फिर क्लास के बाहर हो गया। अब तो बॉस मैं क्लास में ही ना जाऊं। मेरे को डर लगता था क्लास में जाने से कि किसी ने मेरे से कुछ पूछ लिया और मैंने जवाब नहीं दिया तो सटाक चौक लगेगा। एंड इट वाज अ एम्बैरेसमेंट बिकॉज you understand that you're not up to a other kid. Now they were not able to understand that I'm not understanding what you're saying. I'm not able to understand, it means कि मेरा क्लास ही नहीं होगा। इनफैक्ट मैं और बताता हूँ आपको, जब इंजीनियरिंग जब सेमेस्टर 1 और 2 के एग्जाम आए तो पहली वाले तो मुझे थोड़ा समझ में आते थे, 2 और में तो पढ़ लेता था। तीसरे एग्जाम में मैं अपने फ्रेंड, मेरा दोस्त है, मैं उसको लात मारता रहता था, मेरे को दिखाना, मेरे को दिखाना। टीचर मेरे को बाहर निकाल देते थे कि तुम क्या कर रहे हो एग्जाम में। एंड आई जेन्युइनली वांट टू टेल यू, मैं सोचा करता हूँ कि ये जो लोग कॉलेज ड्रॉप आउट होते हैं वो क्यों ड्रॉप आउट करते हैं। मेरे को तो कॉलेज फेंक रहा था बाहर। भाई ड्रॉप आउट नहीं, बाहर जा। Though I think I held on to together, and I think as I totally believe in God, मेरे पास 2 चॉइस थे। मैं क्लास में पीछे के दरवाजे से बाहर निकल के या तो मैं कैंटीन में जाता, which meant that I would have had the joy of in college, or I would have gone to some other place. Luckily, I entered computer center. Or computer center in those days was going through a revolution called internet. So I had a chance to be in, I became the nerd who is in computer center। अब मैं इंटरनेट पे मेरे हीरो बन गए, मार्क एंड्रीसन, सबीर भाटिया, इफ यू रिमेंबर, हॉटमेल वाला था उन दिनों में, और याहू और ये सब लोग। अपनी जिंदगी में सारा का सारा वो आ गया और क्लास में सप्ली लेने लग गए, मतलब बैक लगती थी। भाई मैं आप लोगों को बता नहीं सकता, आप लोग अपनी जिंदगी में जो क्लास में नहीं जाते अपने नंबर पूरे देखा करो यार। मतलब निकलने का तो जम्मा है ना कॉलेज से। ये हम इतने एक्सोटिक कंट्री में नहीं है, वी कैन से कि ओह आई एम अ ड्रॉप आउट ऑफ कॉलेज। ये घर वाले आपकी धुनाई करके बोलेंगे, कोई मानने को तैयार नहीं है, तुम बहुत छो, क्या कर रहे हो बच्चे। ये सब नहीं चलेगा। तो अल्टीमेटली मेरे साथ ये हुआ कि अब मैं अपने प्रोफेसर्स आते थे, उन दिनों ईमेल लॉन्च हुआ था 94, 95, 96 में ईमेल। तो प्रोफेसर आके खुश होते थे, अच्छा तुम किस सेमेस्टर में हो, किस क्लास में हो? सर मैं आपकी क्लास में हूँ। हैं, मैंने को कोई क्लास में देखा नहीं। सब ये कर रहा होता। तो आई वाज लकी दैट आई गॉट सपोर्ट ऑफ माय कॉलेज in a way that they could very well understand। मेरे को पास करते रहते थे, और from a topper to a absolutely ग्रेजुअल पास। मेरे को ये समझ में आ चुका था कि कॉलेज के बाहर जाके जॉब नहीं लगेगी, मतलब कोई भी कारण नहीं है, क्योंकि नंबर खराब है और मेरे को कंप्यूटर इलेक्ट्रॉनिक साइंस, इलेक्ट्रॉनिक्स कम्युनिकेशन समझ में नहीं आता। नाउ दिस इज आल्सो द क्वेश्चन दैट मेनी ऑफ अस व्हेन वी ग्रेजुएट आल्सो गो थ्रू, कि मेरे अगर नंबर कम है तो मेरी जॉब का क्या होगा। एंड आई वांट टू टॉक अबाउट बिकॉज़ लॉट ऑफ स्टूडेंट एंड दैट एज पीपल आर हियर। सो आई डिसाइडेड, और मेरे घर में पैसे तो थे नहीं, जो समझ में आ चुका है लोगों को, जो मैं शुरुआत में बोला। तो आई डिसाइडेड कि सबसे महंगी जॉब और सबसे अच्छी वाली जॉब लेंगे। तो मैं गया, वहाँ पे एक कंपनी थी रिवर रन और यूक सॉफ्टवेयर सिस्टम, जो गुड़गांव और नोएडा में ऐसे करके 2 कंपनियां थी। एंड आई कैन नॉट टेल यू, मैंने उनके एग्जाम से रिलेटेड जो भी कुछ होता है मैंने सीख साख लिया, पढ़ा लिया, और बिल्कुल जेन्युइनली मेरे पास वो मोमेंट आया 3 वाला, जिसमें उसने मेरे से क्वेश्चन पूछ रहा है वो, और उसने मेरे से क्वेश्चन पूछना स्टार्ट किया। तो पहला क्वेश्चन कुछ होता है ना, बंच ऑफ क्वेश्चंस रखे हुए थे, सो दे वुड फ्लिप द क्वेश्चन एंड आस्क मी एंड आई विल ट्राई आंसरिंग। सेकंड क्वेश्चन, थर्ड क्वेश्चन, आई स्टार्टेड टू स्टैमर ऑन थर्ड वन। सो फोर्थ वन में कहता है कि इज दिस द करेक्ट आंसर और विल दैट बी द करेक्ट आंसर। एंड मैं यूज्ड हूं, आप मेरे को आंसर बताओ, मैं बता दूंगा कौन सा आंसर। I knew the answer is not correct, is the why he's answering the answer. So I said, you are right, that is the answer. ऐसे करके 2 और क्वेश्चन हो गए, फिर मैंने ना उस पर हाथ रख दिया। मैंने कहा, आई एम सॉरी, this is not what I studied, or this is not what I did. I think I'm gaming your interview. तो बोलता है, मीनिंग? I said that I'm actually a computer center dash 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 internet programmer and all that. And I wanted a job, so I'm actually answering what I've studied. ये मैंने पिछले 2-3 दिन में पढ़ा है, मतलब less than a week पढ़ा हुआ है. कहते हैं, oh interesting. So what have you learned? What have you done? फिर मैंने इंटरनेट की बात करी, so they got another expert to ask me questions. And there, जब कोई आदमी होता है ना बिल्कुल मतलब जो pig in the sand वाला होता है, they got me on my floor and then I was playing well. So they actually asked that, what do you want to do? So I said, if I was not in India right now, I wish I was able to afford Stanford education and I was in Silicon Valley and I would have made a company like Netscape. तो वो एकदम से अच्छा, so why do you want a job here? मैं उस इंटरव्यू में उनको बोल रहा हूँ, I want to learn why people come for a company to work. I want to build a company ultimately. वो फिर HR वाले को बुला कहते हैं कि wait a minute, हम HR वाले बुलाएंगे. तो फिर अब वो HR वाला भी आया. वो पूछता है कि what do you mean by that? So I said I don't have any money and so on. I know what happens in Silicon Valley. I've never been US और मेरी जिंदगी में लाइफ में कोई है नहीं. But I would like to work, so here it is. I can do this. तो बहुत ही इंटरेस्टिंगली मेरे को रिवर ने सेलेक्ट किया और जब मेरे को सेलेक्ट किया तो उन्होंने मेरे को बिजनेस डिपार्टमेंट में डाला. Unlike, let's say, they used to make softwares for other companies, I was part of a business process and there I learned. So मैं एक बात बोलना चाहता हूँ स्टूडेंट से जो इस कमरे में हैं और otherwise hearing that it is rather better to be honest than to disguise yourself as someone. And it is always going to work in your favor because जब आप real होके कुछ बताओगे तो हो सकता है कि that person can solve for what reality you are instead of what you are trying to or pretend to be. And I'm lucky to say this, that I was interacting with the team or gentleman person there who was acknowledging that I may not be what you are seeking, but I was somebody else whom they did not seek. So जब interview में उन्होंने मेरे से खूब grilling करी, by the way. I mean, I want to tell you they put me to GD also, group discussion also. बाद में मेरे से पूछा कोई और सवाल आपका, तो मैंने बोला कि are you taking me? भाई इतना कुछ तो कर दिया आपने. तो कहता है yes we are, but you are not telling it outside. हम result बाद में declare करेंगे. तो I was one of those who knew. मैंने बताया नहीं और जब I mean, it was high paying job, which meant a lot of people waiting, and I knew that they should be selecting me. So in the early days in my life, I was totally lucky. Hindi medium, language नहीं समझना, class से बाहर निकल के और ultimately ऐसी job में जिसमें मेरे को business education के बराबर की job दे दी उन्होंने, and I would say that I was lucky.
So I think he's made it sound very easy. So message out there is that coming through diversity, extreme diversity, big challenges, he took it with a smile. He knew what he wanted to be. He was honest whenever anybody asked him for that.
So Saket, I want to tell you that a lot of us believe, and I want to say this to even many of us as business people also, because now I'm told कि तेरे को तो equity मिली हुई है, तूने इतने पैसे, मतलब I raised $2.5 billion equity before I even made some $1 money. Boss, आप तो पैसे लुटाना जानते हो, आपको क्या फर्क पड़ता है? But I want to tell you one thing. I've seen that we try to be something else. We try to be aligning to what is expected of instead of trying to be. It is very tough because हमें लगता है कि जैसे मैं I will be myself, it will be very registered and I'm registered, held to, or I will be made to do something else. But I rather want to say one thing. It is rather better to be yourself than to be somebody else and then getting dragged into that role that you are not comfortable about. It's always the case that do something as a work which is not work. मैं काम टाइम नहीं है लेकिन मैं काम नहीं करता. मतलब मुझे तो बिल्कुल समझ में नहीं आता काम क्या कर रहा हूँ. यहाँ पे बैठा हुआ हूँ उससे थोड़ी देर में मैं अभी what was happening 10 minutes back is totally different life, to an hour back totally different life, because I don't work. I actually am living genuinely a dream that I never thought that I would be able to practically see it. So be yourself. That is, I think.
So you spoke about raising money.
Ah.
So tell us a little bit of a journey about the initial raise and how your mindset has changed through the years and through the journey of the company. We want to really know the first part to begin with.
Yeah.
So that people know, you know, that.
So company to बना ली और company 2001 I founded this company which is 197 Communication, the same company which is listed as Paytm. So obviously the ambition was clear. We will create technology which will be building for, in those days the mobile phone as a feature phone was something. तो मेरे customer Bharti Cellular और Idea, Hutchinson जो भी थे वो थे. And the big problem, and I think another lesson for everyone who's starting in this room, I want to say is, always remember there is an impedance mismatch. Impedance mismatch physics में पढ़ा है. 440 वोल्ट को आप एक बल्ब नहीं लगाते, वो फूक जाएगा. मतलब आपका the volt and wattage should match. This is the gap is called impedance mismatch. तो जब आप बहुत बड़ी कंपनी के साथ काम करते हो तो आप तो कुछ भी नहीं हो यार, you're a fly, you don't even matter for them. तो not saying that they deliberately did it, मुझे लगता है उन्होंने deliberately किया. Not saying they deliberately did it, मेरे पैसे रोक लेते थे वो. बड़ी कंपनियों के लिए आप छोटा वेंडर हो तो they don't bother, and you know what I'm trying to say. They don't bother, और आप कितना भी प्रॉफिट पे बेच लो, आपको एक नया लेसन सीखने को मिलता है, which is what lesson I learned. I used to sell to these telecom operators, and I used to have logically profitable because the technology is being made by few engineers and then it is being used, so they're logically profitable. But वो पैसे टाइम पे नहीं देते. तो अपनी जिंदगी में, क्योंकि हमारे घर में मैं शर्मा हूँ, यानी मेरे फादर टीचर है, तो कोई बिजनेस का व्यक्ति नहीं है, and nobody is mentoring or guiding, so to say. I learned a different lesson of life, that you may be profitable, but cash flow is the king. अगर कैश नहीं है तो आपकी कंपनी में कुछ भी नहीं है ना. And I learned it in a hard way. मेरे पास उनके 32 लाख की आउटस्टैंडिंग और मेरे पास पैसे भी नहीं है, तो मैं लोगों से लोन ले लेके लोगों की सैलरी दे रहा हूँ अपनी टीम की, या कुछ डिप्लॉयमेंट कर रहा हूँ हार्डवेयर एक्सेट्रा, एंड आई वाज लाइक हैंड टू माउथ फॉर कैश. एंड माय फैमिली, इसमें भी बहुत ही इंटरेस्टिंग मोमेंट बताऊंगा, दे वर टोटली कंफ्यूज, ये करता क्या है, व्हाई डज ही लिव लाइक दैट. मतलब मैं 5000 रुपए के एक बरसाती में रहता था. आई यूज्ड टू नॉट हैव अ जॉब which is what this, and I used to do things which were like totally random because पैसे नहीं थे. तो मैं कैसे बोलूँ, मैं जितने गंदे तरीके से बोल रहा हूँ उतने से नहीं है, और जितने स्मार्ट तरीके से बोल रहा हूँ उतना भी नहीं है. I used to sell myself. I used to make myself available for one day 5,000 रुपये, एक घंटा 1,000 रुपये. आप में से जो बातें करना चाहते हैं, इंटरनेट सीखना चाहते हैं, टेक्नोलॉजी, and I used to give lectures, do anything. मैं उससे अपनी लाइफ चला रहा होता था. Now the gap became so much that I ended up meeting a gentleman who wanted to turn around his technology company. So I turned it around, and then again, he instead of paying, he discussed that what do I do? Why should I not become his CEO and so on? And that point of time, the gentleman offered. So उन्होंने मेरे से कहा कि मुझे लगता है कि आप अपनी कंपनी में you should merge your company into the company. And so मैंने उन्हें बोला कि नहीं ऐसे नहीं करेंगे, because these are two different things altogether. And then he asked me about कि आपकी कंपनी क्या करती है. मैंने बहुत पैशनेटली कुछ बोला, कि उन्होंने मेरे से एक लाइन बोला, विजय जी देखिए, मुझे समझ में तो कुछ नहीं आया, बट बहुत पैशनेट से बोला, जरूर कुछ अच्छा करते हो. मैं आपकी बैलेंस शीट देखूंगा, उसके बेसिस पे कुछ बता दूंगा. तो मैं I've been the person who is never bothered about what is balance sheet, cash flow. He offered me, and this is what I took, 8 lakh rupees for 40% of 19,700 paid here. 8 lakh rupees. And I want to tell you, मेरे पास लोन था 8 लाख रुपए का, जो मेरी 24% rate of interest पे था. So I was hand to mouth to serve the loan. So practically I was like, okay, चला दिया, मतलब करते हैं इसको, at 8 lakh rupees. So I ended up selling 24 lakh% वाले rate of loan के कारण my company is 40% for 8 lakh rupees. And then उन्होंने मेरे को बोला कि तुम इस ऑफिस में भी रह लो, तो आप अपनी रेंट भी पे कर लेना, ऑफिस का सेटअप का खर्चा नहीं लगेगा. So my privilege was that I got an office to live or work, and I got this 8 lakh rupees. Now this money, in my opinion, this is my angel funding, because this is my angel, and I think this is one of the reasons that I survived. So my first round of money was so commercially, logically not true. But again, this is the price you pay of not knowing people. I think lucky are those who get even any kind of mentoring or any kind of support. And I think super lucky are those who can get even 8 lakh rupees. And this is what another thing that I want to tell all of you. Look, अपनी जिंदगी में dilution पे centric होते हैं हम early stage में, which is illogical, extremely illogical. First of all, 40 lakh was outlier. उन्होंने भी जो line share मारा वो भी illogical हो सकता है. But in the end, it survived is a win. The fact that you survived is called thriving, instead of thinking about कि नहीं मैं ये नहीं करूँगा. So I understand that 8 lakh and 40 lakh rupees and 40% and 8 lakh is a bad deal, but at the same point in time, this is what survived me. So in hindsight, I would say a lot of entrepreneurs ask me कि मैं देखो इतना कम dilution करूं तो ये होगा. मैं कहता हूं भाई आप ना पहले एक कुछ बना लो, उसके बाद उसको कुछ भी कर सकते हो. मतलब you can go through different stages to discover and so on. So fundraising in the day one was totally awkward. जिसमें आप पैसे रेज कर रहे हो, जिसमें CA टाइप के लोग मिलते हैं. मतलब उन दिनों में इन्वेस्टर फंडिंग होती नहीं थी इंडिया में. आई एम टॉकिंग अबाउट 2003-4. I mean, it is the awkward time to get funded. Then came the life, which is totally other dimension में जाते हैं. I'm sitting in, so Goldman Asia chairman is sitting next to me, and he's my invest banker, and I'm sitting in front of Jack Ma, and I mean, I think it was a very surreal day. पेटीएम का सीरीज ए है, ये सीरीज ए रेज कर रहा हूँ मैं, जिसमें मेरा टारगेट है कि मैं $100 million रेज कर लूँ. आई मीन $100 million इज अ बिग मनी इवन टुडे, इवन दैट डे इवन बिगर. वी कैन अंडरस्टैंड हाउ बिग. एंड मेरे को लग रहा था कौन 100 million देगा. मुझे यही समझ में नहीं आता कि लोग पैसा क्यों देते हैं दूसरे को. कंपनी ओन करके क्या करेंगे, पैसे तो मैं देने. तो इट टुक टाइम फॉर मी टू अंडरस्टैंड कि ना देखो, आप जो मेहनत करते हो, जो घोड़ागिरी करते हो, जो काम करते हो, उससे कंपनी में रेवेन्यू आता है. बट उससे जो इक्विटी वैल्यू बनती है वो लाला की होती है. ये कर्मचारियों की होती है, लाला की होती है, जिसकी भी वैल्यू होती है. तो आई मीन द कॉन्सेप्ट ऑफ शेयर इज नॉट अंडरस्टूड बाय कॉमन पीपल इन दिस कंट्री. लेट मी जस्ट से दिस. So stock exchange, Sensex are the words that are not understood. And then forget about that, you take it to private equity. A lot of people who are understanding what is share, they don't understand why wouldn't people do it, this kind of high risk transaction. Then you talk about angel investment, they're like, this is so out of the window. So मेरे को तो इंडिया में पैसे मिले नहीं बॉस, सीधा बताता हूँ. और मैं आया नहीं था IT से. जैसे कि हमारे बंसल ब्रदर्स वर द पॉपुलर क्लैन ऑफ दिस कंट्री. जैसे सरनेम अगर अंबानी और अदानी हो तो कुछ भी हो सकता है, ऐसे ही स्टार्टअप में सरनेम अगर बंसल हो तो कहीं पे भी जा सकते हो, पैसे रेज कर सकते हो. अपना नाम था शर्मा. शर्मा के बच्चे ने ये कैसे कर दिया. शर्मा जी का बच्चा तो कुछ और करना चाहिए था, वो पढ़ाई करके स्टूडेंट की भी अच्छा बना. तो अपनी तो जैसे तैसे हालत बिल्कुल अजीब सी थी कि there was no reason for me to raise money, but I think, as they say, the privilege is of God to see. I was sitting in front of Jack Ma. I make a pitch, and I truly believe, मेरा मानना है कि लाइफ में कुछ मोमेंट ऐसे हो जाते हैं सबकी लाइफ में, जब आपको मालूम है कि आपकी लाइफ इधर से इधर हो जाएगी, and this will be नदी आके पार हो जाएगी. You'll cross the bridge. And when I made the pitch, then Jack Ma was talking to me that. And his first question he was, let's say if we invest in your company, will you give us up to 40% in your company in due course? मैं totally confused. भाई पैसे invest करना चाहते हो वो कर दो, ये 40% का सवाल क्या पूछ रहे हो. तो पहला सवाल मैंने पूछा कि why, I said it'll be a privilege to see that you invest, and 40% is an interesting number. Why would I have a problem? And just in case, why 40%? So Jack Ma ने मेरे को 2014 में बोला था, if you are a successful company of what you are telling me, you will be a national treasure. We just want to be part of your journey. So you will always be a renowned. Jack Ma 2014 tells me in his room, and then they gave me $200 million on 600 pre, which is 24%. So मैं तो बिल्कुल ही shocker shot से आया first round. Now I want to tell you another story of fundraising, which is with Masa. So Masa भी इस round में, Masa son of SoftBank was also one of the contenders to invest in this round. I happen to like operators than investors. Masa is an investor, you should understand. Although he runs telecom companies in Japan and some other company, but he's an investor. Individually, he's an investor. So I'm 2009, कब हुआ 8/11? Demonetized in 2016, right? So 2016 December in Delhi. So I'm talking to Masa. Masa is going to start $100 billion fund. And what I'm saying was he had not announced. So he comes and he says that I like to meet. So some of them, and I happen to be one of those. और उन दिनों हम लोग फ्रंट पेज पे ऐड छक्के की तरह मार रहे थे. मतलब हर दिन एक फ्रंट पेज ऐड मार देते सारे अखबारों में. तो उस दिन मुझे अभी याद है कोई each one का ऐड लगा हुआ था. तो मासा के खाना अखबार रखा हुआ था. He was asking how is happening. I said Masa, this country is going through a revolution. ये देखो, मैं यहाँ पे ये बता रहा हूँ कि सबको सिखाओ. So Masa was very impressed by this. And he anyways was going to start. Then he told me about his $100 billion vision fund that we're going to start it. I said, very nice, very nice. So then he wanted to quote unquote find his first billion check user. So मेरे से मैं उस कंपनी में फिर से यही 100-200 मिलियन मिल जाए तो अच्छी बात है, 500 मिलियन मिल गया तो बहुत ही रॉकेट बनाएंगे. And Masa says, I want to invest $1 billion in your company. कल तो मैं एकदम सुन क्या $1 billion सुन कान सुन. I go, okay, yeah, you should do it. Very nice. You should do it. अब मासा was always like आपकी कंपनी का जो पिछला वाला राउंड है मैं उस पे करूंगा बजाय इसके कि whatever you have expended yourself on. Very logical. मतलब how do I price it on the spot? जो पिछला वाला राउंड है उस पे दे दो मेरे को. So my last round was 4.5 कुछ 5 billion के आसपास था, and this round was my theory was 7.5-8 billion पे करो यार, मतलब कुछ तो नंबर बहुत ड्रामेटिकली डिमोनेटाइजेशन का तो कुछ वैल्यू और ट्रांजैक्शन कस्टमर ट्रैक्शन की वैल्यू हो. बट मासा मैंने कहा भैया एक काम करो तुम प्राइस बाद में करना, नंबर कंफर्म कर लेते. और मैं कोई डाइल्यूशन सेंटर तो नहीं, बाय नाउ यू आल्सो नो. कोई बात नहीं, आप चंद दो 5 पे दे देंगे, 6 पे दे देंगे, 7 पे दे देंगे, जो 2 पे दे देंगे, पहले कम कर दें. Now Masa was going through another thing. He learned that I am not, and I used to be very clear that it is my rest of the shareholders who would not take an approval. So मैंने बोला मासा 7.5 से नीचे होगा नहीं है. I'm uncomfortable to tell you. Although I would be the one who will be trying on your side. तो मासा ने बोला no, give or take everything 6 billion पे करेंगे. अब क्या होता है, मैं बहुत सीरियस बता रहा हूँ ये बात. So Masa is a very in the trance. इसको बोलते हैं कि he does not remember what is around him. So Masa को मीटिंग का इनवाइट आया नीति आयोग से. So Masa gets up. तो उनका असिस्टेंट उनको पकड़ के ऐसे कर देता है. तो मासा बाथरूम के लिए जा रही थी. और मैं तो पानी पी चुका था 4-5 बार, तो मैं भी मासा के साथ साथ चला गया. अब मैं जो बता रहा हूँ वो रियल. मासा इज इन द बाथरूम. विजय, I think you should take $1.5 billion. मैं कहा मासा we will do it. Why you worry? We'll do it. मतलब ऐसा क्या है कि 1 बिलियन से तो फिर मेरे को ये मालूम था कि ये डाइल्यूशन नीचे कर रहे हैं तो मेरे बाकी शेयर होल्डर हो सकता है नहीं करेंगे, तो फिर वो टर्न करते हैं. मैंने बोला मासा look, I'm happy to work for what you are seeking as a deal, but I want you to know this is so much controlled by other people. Then Masa jips up. I think you should take $1.6 billion. Whenever there is a too good to be true deal, it is always too good to be true deal. तो मैं तो बिल्कुल ही फैल गया. मैंने कहा ओके नो मोर. मैंने कहा पानी में चलाता हूँ. अब आगे बढ़ो. So Masa was मतलब fixated at 20%. कि मुझे 20% चाहिए, और अब वो प्राइमरी सेकेंडरी मिक्स मैच करके लोगों को बुला के कि भाई आप बेचो, कोई चक्कर नहीं है. एंड दोस डेज वाज लाइक अ FOMO days. मतलब इफ योर कंपनी इज गोइंग यू गोना गेट $1 billion, व्हाई वुड समबडी सेल. मतलब ये तो बहुत ही क्लियर है ना कि जब इसका ये आ जाएगा तो इसके बाद मैं क्यों बेचूंगा. बट आई हैड टू से नो आप प्लीज सेल करो. सो ऑल इन ऑल वी रेज्ड अबाउट 1.4 billion और कुछ सेकेंडरी करा. एंड आउट ऑफ दिस अगेन मासा केम एट 20%. And I've seen everything, man. I've seen 8 lakh रुपए में 40%. I've seen 1.5 billion में 20%.
Thank you for sharing. Trust me, this is what I wanted everybody to know. So, Vijay, tell me one important thing. So you just give the whole journey of how important this startup ecosystem is becoming. And many are still very circumspect about this. That yeah, startup is it now an industry? ये इसको हम इंडस्ट्री कैसे बोले जब ये प्रॉफिट नहीं बनाते हैं, लॉस मेकिंग और बिलियंस की इसकी वैल्यूएशन है. सो गोइंग फॉरवर्ड, हाउ शुड गवर्नमेंट एंड इंडस्ट्री, in traditional industry space, how should they look at this space? I mean, and how should startups, quote unquote startups, as we have cliched them to be, what do we do with this? Because we need this also to be considered as an industry.
Yeah, so let me help. I'm going to speak on behalf of traditional industry now. So let's say, So आपने देखा होगा retail, most of us understand retail, manufacturing, servicing, so we can list the companies and we can multiply it by technology. There are two ways to run a business. Retail cross technology. इसका मतलब कि मैं मान लेते हैं शॉपर स्टॉप या कोई और रिटेलर हूँ और मैंने टेक्नोलॉजी खरीदी. दूसरा है टेक्नोलॉजी क्रॉस बाय रिटेल, मतलब मैं टेक्नोलॉजी कंपनी हूँ एंड आई वांट टू डू रिटेल. दूसरा वाला एग्जांपल अमेजोन का हो गया, टेक्नोलॉजी क्रॉस ट्रांसपोर्टेशन उबर का हो गया, टेक्नोलॉजी क्रॉस फाइनेंशियल सर्विसेज पेटीएम जैसे आ गया, एंड फाइनेंशियल सर्विसेज क्रॉस टेक्नोलॉजी का मतलब कोई ट्रेडिशनल बैंक जो टेक्नोलॉजी खरीद रही है. सो फॉर द 2001 to 2020 this world went through a very dramatic amount of upswing of amount of technology that could address the customer base. नॉर्मली आपको पता होगा कि बैंकों का मॉडल हाई स्ट्रीट मॉडल होता है और हमारा रिटेल का मॉडल भी हाई स्ट्रीट मॉडल होता है कि wherever there is footfall I will go there. That is what the model is. But technology did a very dramatic thing. It could make your products reach where even no physical reach of your store or point is. Now that created a model that distribution could be led by technology, not technology in the company. थोड़ा समझ जाते हैं दोबारा से कि HDFC बैंक की पिछले साल last year they opened, and I'm not kidding this guys, they opened in a earning call that I heard 599 branches and they plan to open in a full year more than 700 branches. 365 days हैं, 700 दिन मतलब दिन की 2 ब्रांच खुल रहे हैं, सैटरडे संडे दिवाली सब ऑन है और दिन की 2 ब्रांच रेगुलेटरी कंप्लाइंट टेक्नोलॉजी कंप्लाइंट चीज. It is extraordinary. So first of all, that model is actually valid, that model is actually good, but the model of growth is that I will go physically there. It's a great model, it gets customer trust, lots of things, and it has some negative parts that it has fixed cost. And it may not be very viable after some time because people are not walking into the store. Then second model is कि सबको ऐप डाउनलोड करवाओ, टेक्नोलॉजी डाउनलोड करवाओ और उनसे कहो कि आपको जब टैक्सी चाहिए तो बोलो, आपको जब खाना चाहिए या कुछ चाहिए बोलो और आपको जब पेमेंट करना है तो बोलो. तो सेकंड मॉडल में ड्रामेटिक अमाउंट ऑफ मार्केट एड्रेसेबिलिटी है. तो जो ट्रेडिशनल बिजनेस के लोग हैं उनको ये समझ में नहीं आया कि कस्टमर कैसे आएगा इस पे, और अगर कस्टमर आएगा तो कितने कस्टमर आ जाएंगे. एंड दैट इज व्हाई there is a and why will customer come here, कभी incentive के कारण, कभी convenience के कारण. So when we started payments it used to be incentives. I'm sure you remember that के cashback bill payment पे मिलता था. तो एक बहुत popular comment था कि पेटीएम के बारे में एक बड़े बैंकर से पूछा गया कि what do you think about it? So he said देखो 250 रुपये अगर बिजली का बिल पे करने का कोई आदमी देगा ना तो मैं भी जाऊंगा, बट हम बात करते हैं जब ये पैसे बनाएंगे सबकी, जो कि करेक्ट है. सो टेक्नोलॉजी क्रॉस इंडस्ट्री equal to a viable business or not? Let me say 2020 onward, they have become viable business. Zomato as a revenue and profitability, could it match and come up to, let's say, a traditional food chain? Answer is probably yes. Can Paytm do something which is a traditional industry, financial services? Answer is yes. Can, let's say, a retailer, online retailer do something? Answer is yes. So in other words, the startups were these companies who were technology first, and they were going to the industry. So how do you value them? TAM, total addressable market. अगर आप एक दिल्ली में एक चेन ऑफ 10 रेस्टोरेंट, सलोन या कुछ भी सर्विस खोल रहे हो वर्सेस नेशनली खोल रहे हो, आपका TAM तो बहुत डिफरेंट हो गया, उसका एक फ्रैक्शन एड्रेसेबिलिटी ही बहुत डिफरेंट हो जाता है. एंड सो एंड सो फोर्थ, सो एंड सो फोर्थ, सो एंड सो. सो ट्रेडिशनली India's incumbent businesses never appreciated and admired the value of valuation of these companies. It is the other countries' investors, East and West both, who could understand and say that, oh, this is a revolution. This country will get a dramatic amount of servicing done because this is technology. तो मैं आपको ये बताना चाहता हूँ साकेत कि let's understand it is an obligation. People have started to understand. आपने देखा होगा गवर्नर ऑफ RBI ने बोला, उदय कोटक जिनको कि मैं मानता हूँ इंडिया के जेमी डायमंड है, वो उन्होंने बोला कि देखो हम लोग ना मिस करके पेमेंट की. इसका मतलब ये नहीं है कि इसका हमारा बिजनेस कम हो जाता है, बट हमारी एक अपसाइड कैप हो गई है क्योंकि हमने वो नहीं करा. They could have done it and they could have done it, and it is not wrong about it. They decided it. Similarly, if you notice, the traditional retailers have started to go first online. There is a whole bucket of people who are online. So टेक्नोलॉजी से जब कस्टमर अपने आप को कमिट करके आपकी सर्विस प्राप्त करता है, उसको स्टार्टअप की इंडस्ट्री का नाम दे देते हैं हम लोग. एंड इन माय ओपिनियन दिस इज अ वेरी वाइबल इंडस्ट्री. बहुत सारे लोग इस इंडस्ट्री में पैसे और प्रॉफिट धीरे धीरे करके बनाने लगे हैं, एंड सून इट विल बिकम इवन बिगर customer base and addressability that a traditional company has been able to. So now every vertical of industry is feeling the heat of that industry champion. even though at a larger level we may not think about it, but that industry leader is definitely thinking that, oh, I may not be the champion for long. So it's
Thank
here
you.
to stay, it's here to do.
Thank you. So, this year, we also took over as the Startup 20 initiative as the chamber. And me, along with my presidium, have been wanting to, from a traditional industry body, we want to merge it with the young startups and traditional established startups. What do you think we as a chamber, what are the activities we can do where we can get this ecosystem together? Because I genuinely believe startups are a new way of doing the traditional thing, as you correctly said, to address the TAM. But the core competence, the experience largely lies within the traditional industry.
Totally.
So what are the things chambers can do to, really, ignite this?
Yeah. And I met yesterday with one guy who is more or less online, but has a young company which has a lots of franchisee network. And I told him the same thing. आप ना ट्रेडिशनल इंडस्ट्री में जिसने फ्रेंचाइजी मैनेज करी है उस व्यक्ति को लाइए अपनी टीम में. So you could help startup to reach out to the industry which is traditionally controlled, built and created so much of physical assets, because there is inevitability of skill management. जैसे कि अगर आप डिलीवरी कंपनी की देख लेते हैं, मतलब जोमेटो स्विगी की बात कर लेते हैं, because they are publicly known and publicly listed, तो इतने सारे लोगों की मैनेजमेंट करनी है, तो आपको ह्यूमन रिसोर्स मैनेजमेंट आना चाहिए, आपको लेबर मैनेजमेंट आना चाहिए, आपको बहुत सारी स्किल आनी चाहिए. That is needed to be learned in this part. I mean, I couldn't be profit making till the time period we recruited some banker or banking background people. Technology is not, देखिए पार्ट दो है, टेक्नोलॉजी क्रॉस इंडस्ट्री. तो इंडस्ट्री स्किल को आपको ऑफर करना चाहिए स्टार्टअप्स को, और टेक्नोलॉजी स्किल को ऑफर करना चाहिए इंडस्ट्री को.
Thank you. So I can go on and on, but now I wanted to invite Yashraj. Yashraj, please come.
Yashraj Chopra.
So Yashraj is our co-chair at the Startups and New Business Committee. And I invite Sonali Jain, who's our education co-chair and a women initiatives co-chair, please.
One thing that I've learned is the traditional industry should not carry a negative bias towards outside. So this is one other thing that you have to do, Saket. आपको एक सक्सेस के अंदर बड़ी नेगेटिविटी होती है, वो होती है कि दे क्लोज द डोर ऑफ अंडरस्टैंडिंग व्हाट इज देयर. एंड आई थिंक यू हैव incredibly successful enterprises of yesterday and today both. How to make them be successful for tomorrow is what your question was.
Yes.
And my answer is that if you are ready to shed your success based bias, तो उसे हमें आता है सब कुछ, तो ये क्यों हमें समझाएंगे? तो वो मुझे लगता है कि वो पार्ट आपको उनको ऑप्टिमाइज करना चाहिए कि देखिए, लेट्स लिसन टू इट, लेट्स हियर इट व्हाट दे आर सेइंग. And first principle wise, they may say something very different, but it will be very useful. So I actually call upon the traditional business to say only one thing. आप लोगों ने बहुत अच्छी business build करी है. In fact, मैं ये कहना चाहता हूँ कि this is how the businesses are supposed to be optimized and maximized. Now there is a new magic of customer base, ability, efficiency that you have got. Why don't you leverage that? Why say no to it when you can be part of it? So opportunity for them.
Thank you. Thank you. Over to you guys.
Yeah, we were just, we had like 100 questions for you. And I had a feeling there'll be like 100-minute answers.
No, but I'll make it coffee with Raj.
So I have been knocking off questions that you've answered already.
All right.
But surprisingly, Sonali, you have a lot of questions that he's not yet
I
answered.
was just trying to think of some fun questions now.
Okay.
But I have to say that, Vijay, I'm a big fan of yours.
Thank you.
Not because you're Vijay Shekhar Sharma, because you're a magician.
Oh, thank you.
Because हम जो 30 रुपए, 300 रुपए, 3,000 रुपए, 3 लाख रुपए, 30 लाख रुपए, 30 दिन में, 30 महीनों में, 30 साल में कमाते हैं, वो पेटीएम 3 सेकंड में उड़ा देता है. So you're a big magician.
I want to also tell you one thing, that it's been a very important thing for me. It was a tough thing, by the way. मैंने आपको क्या बताया, मेरी जिंदगी में पैसे नहीं थे, और 2011 when I started Paytm, I actually started with the free cash that my business generated. So I want this to be known to this set of people. I raised my money in 2014, and till 2011 when I had started, I did not raise any money. It was my business's free cash flow. Raised about 67 crores of equity and made 130 crores. In other words, it's very uncomfortingly bad. और मैं आपको एक और बात बताता हूँ, साकेत, we can sit. When I pitched Paytm as a consumer product to my board members, जो मेरे shareholder भी थे, many of them Indians, many of them international. They just did not understood that मैं क्या बोल रहा हूँ. And this is I'm pitching 2011. So you remember 2011 did not have 3G of a penetration ratio that we're talking, and the smartphone that too very costly. So one of the gentlemen says that I hope you understand that you who have offered telecom operator these services can go with Bharti in Africa or other countries, and you can continue to make money, you make profit. And you are talking about something which people will buy smartphones. Do you think people will buy so costly smartphones? People can buy a laptop before they buy a smartphone, because these used to be 60, 70,000 and laptop was 30, 35,000. So I said, no, people will buy smartphones. And then one other investor will say, well, if they buy a smartphone, they should have an internet connection. Do you think India will have internet connection? We don't have a wired internet connection. You are telling wireless internet connection. I said, yes, India will have wireless internet connection. फिर तीसरा, ये सारे genuine और एक के बाद एक करके question answer है. He said, okay, let's consider that India has got smartphone, internet connection. Now let's talk about that. You're talking about that you want to build a consumer payment company. I hope you understand that it includes psychological change in the country, that people will trust the mobile screen as payment method. I said, what is the problem? तो एक व्यक्ति जो मेरे हिंदी इंडियन बोर्ड मेंबर है वो मेरे से बोलता है, यार विजय तू क्या बोल रहा है? देख हमारे देश में ना नोट की माला पहनी जाती है. शादी पे ना भाई ना माला पहन के जाता है. तो बोल रहा है कि लोग कैश नहीं करेंगे. यहाँ पे ना कैश, भाई साहब कैश रख जाओ, बाद में ले जाना. मतलब ही वाज इंडियन ऑन द बोर्ड में, वो हिंदी में बोलते हैं, देख यार इंडिया में डील होती है, भाई साहब कैश रख जाओ, ले जाओ, यही रखा हुआ है आपका ही है. ऐसे करते हैं. तो उससे बोलता है कि लोग फोन पे ट्रस्ट कर लेंगे. मैं कहा यार ऐश ले लानी अंदर. ऐश, आई डू बिलीव दैट इफ वी हैव टू ग्रो एज अ इकोनॉमी वी विल डू इट. And final question, this gentleman who's a very, very sincere board member, he said, I take that, everything will happen, but it calls upon you to build a consumer brand. And you know what? In the board meetings, since I've been coming in this board, forget about a business person. I have never seen even I wonder if there was anybody who was an MBA person. Only technology people present. मैं बोला, ऐसी भी क्या बात है? हम भी ऐसा ब्रांड बनाएंगे जो सब जगह लगा. फिर मेरा तो पहला वाला इन्वेस्टर बोलता है, I wonder what you smoke, you should.
What is it?
Yeah, please let us know.
I'm sure a lot of people. One Paritosh is there, he's asking, what do you smoke?
No, I don't smoke, I don't drink. So now everything said and done, वो मेरे को फिर बाद में बोलता है कि यार, let's say that you can even build a brand. Now you have to understand जो आप बोल रहे हैं उसके बारे में बोल रहा हूँ. You have been frugal. You are the rare technology company in India who is generating free cash, not profitable. Free cash generate कर रहे हो यार. You understand you have to spend money. तो मैं कहा that should not be called an art. Spending money. No, that means you will have to raise money. So I said, okay, we'll raise money. तो मैं आप लोगों को बताना चाहता हूँ, मैंने चाइना के richest, जापान के richest और अमेरिका में वॉरेन को कह सकते हो आप the top investor सबसे पैसे raise.
Wonderful, wonderful.
So मैजिक बनने में अगर चाहे पैसे लुटाने हो या कमाने हो, दोनों चीजें मैजिकल हैं. And I can only say this, that it is genuinely magical to build something, having a courage to spend when you are going through the बैंक में पैसे खत्म हो रहे हैं और आप नहीं कमा रहे, बहुत different होता है. And it is not because that you are spending somebody's money, it is technically your own money because you now are shareholder and the game is yours. And similarly, when you are able to earn money, which is the days that we have reached, I think it's phenomenal in both ways. So thank you.
It's totally commendable from your humble beginnings to where you are. And I'm sure this is so inspirational for each and every person. I'm not only talking about youngsters sitting here, but each and every person, because it just inspires them to aspire to be a Vijay Shekhar Sharma, and they can do it. But sir, आपको पता है COVID के time में, because you were just talking about पैसों की माला, कोविड के टाइम में जब आदमी अपने बच्चों की शादी के लिए इनवाइट करता था तो वो उसने QR कोड भेजना शुरू कर दिया था कि अब आप आओगे या दूर से आओगे तो कम से कम शगन में आप पेटीएम तो कर देना.
Yeah, so, I think one of the things that I want to tell you is that we can underestimate the usage and the impact these mobile payments will have on the society. Especially we've seen it. मैं एक बहुत इंटरेस्टिंग चीज बताना चाहता हूँ, और आपने देखा होगा 0% पेमेंट होता है, पेमेंट का चार्ज 0% लगता है, और सरकार उसमें और रेगुलेटर उसमें बड़े कंसर्न रहते हैं कि 0% है. मेरा ये मानना है कि जब हम ये इतना यूबिक्विटस मोबाइल पेमेंट कर देते हैं कि शादी में आ रहा है या फिर आप शॉप पे जा रहे हो कर रहे हो और सब जगह हो रहा है, दिस हेल्प्स दिस कंट्री इन अ वेरी डिफरेंट वे. वो जो छोटा दुकानदार है जिसका रजिस्ट्रेशन म्युनिसिपल पे होना भी एक इवेंट होती है. आई एम श्योर यू अंडरस्टैंड दैट द स्ट्रीट वेंडर्स आर नॉट इवन रजिस्टर्ड विद म्युनिसिपल. These small businesses don't do audits, don't do tax filing, don't have an obligation. तो उनका कोई कम, मतलब मैं आपको एक लाइन बोलना चाहता हूँ, इस देश के जो देश की जीविका कमाते हैं मास लेवल पे, उनकी तो हार्ट बीट भी आइडेंटिफाई नहीं होती कि वो एग्जिस्ट करते हैं फाइनेंशियल सिस्टम में. एंड दैट इज व्हेन आई यूज्ड टू टेल दिस कि 0% क्यों करेंगे. एंड आई यूज्ड टू से दैट if by virtue of receiving payment we are able to spot this person's heartbeats comes on financial system, now I can build deposit, credit, many other things that are useful for them, and then the economic growth that is sustainable and growing to only giving benefit to only the few will reach there. In my opinion, what we are doing as Paytm, and I truly believe, and that is why I'm saying it, in my opinion, what we're doing as Paytm is we are bringing these small little shops who otherwise had no obligation to be even getting identified, and forget about any incentive or forget about any support that system could have given. They just could have never had access to financial system. We are moving the wheel of economy by helping them reach the money, reach the place where it should be. आपको पता है जब देश के 500 million लोग, 500 billion Indian can get the benefit of mainstream of economy, आपको पता नहीं है क्या होगा, क्योंकि जब 50 लोगों को मिला तो आप जानते हो क्या होगा. मेरा fundamental belief है that companies like us, they may sound altruistic. In beginning they are, and then eventually they make money and they may become traditional. But what we will be able to do is that this gap between access to financial services, I'm sure we all of us know in this room, हम सब लोग जितने बड़े हो जाते हैं उतने exotic financial product हमें मिल जाते हैं. आपका पैसा रखा रहेगा, मैं उसके ऊपर LC इशू कर दूंगा, आपको देख के मुझे लग रहा है. मैं समझ गया था, पैसा तो आपके पास ही है लेकिन LC में इशू कर दूंगा. से लेके के फ्यूचर फॉरवर्ड स्वैप से लेके, मतलब you know, the higher in hierarchy of the business you are, the superior the complex product access that you will have. वो नॉर्मल आदमी को पैसे नहीं रखते बैंक में यार, उसको बैंक का अकाउंट भी पता है क्या कहलाता है? खाता. वो भी खाता है, देश का बैंक अकाउंट भी खाता है. तो वो बैंक अकाउंट ले लो, क्रेडिट ले लो, सब कुछ दे दो, और उसके बाद फिर देश को देख लेना क्या होगा. तो 5 साल और देखते हैं क्या होगा. मैंने कुछ और नहीं बोला.
So you're talking
It should
about
not be connected to something else.
every time I hear Vijay talk, okay, and open disclosure, I go and buy the Paytm share. Trust me. He doesn't intend to, but it's proved right for me.
Thank you.
Because just amazing, you know, most of the time, you know, one of the conversations we had, and someone said, when will you be profitable? And he just said, in the near future, but very soon. That was it. I went and bought the share, and they were profitable right after that.
Can I be candid about it? Profit, क्योंकि ये बहुत क्वेश्चन आता है और मैं अभी शायद इसमें भी लिखा हुआ होगा प्रॉफिट के बारे में, तो मैं एक बात बताना चाहता हूँ. Profit is not the milestone. Why? Because ability to impact a larger audience with a sustainable model that generates free cash. इसमें रास्ते में profit obligation है. But आप ये सोचिए ना, 50 लोगों की दुकान को तो मैं profitable वैसे ही कर सकता था. 5 करोड़ की दुकान को मैं प्रॉफिट वैसे कर सकता हूँ. 50 करोड़ की दुकान को प्रॉफिट करके बनाओ ना, मतलब मैनेज द कंट्री ऑफ द साइज ऑफ इंडिया. ये कोई थोड़ा है कि सिंगापुर में चलाओ देखो सड़कें साफ है, यहाँ देश में स्वच्छ भारत अभियान चलाओ तब दिखाएंगे ना. मतलब बिल्डिंग इट फॉर $1 billion is some other magic and requirement.
So I wanted to ask, now that you're talking about financial inclusiveness and accessibility to a common man, आज हम एक गांव के अंदर एक हॉकर के पास जाते हैं जो टोकरी लेके कह लीजिए केले बेच रहे हैं, या आइसक्रीम वाला वेंडर जिससे मैंने 10 रुपए में ऑरेंज बार खरीदी थी और पेटीएम के थ्रू पे किया था, या एम्पोरियो मॉल में जाके, दिल्ली के स्वैंकी मॉल में जाके हम लाख रुपए का पर्स भी खरीद रहे हैं. So did you always envision this when you invented Paytm, when you were into it? Did you always invent that the mass reach would be so much for Paytm? And at the same time, I want to ask you, because I learned Paytm during COVID times. So was COVID like a silver lining which led to a mass accessibility of Paytm as a payment method?
Yeah. So whenever you are building a company or product, आप अगर last customer, least value customer, least something that they can give you as a money margin customer के लिए build करो, and your model can sustain on them, then you can do it for even the bigger guys. So actually our model started from the bottom to the top.
From ground zero to up, like
Yeah, the intention was not that we will solve for, let's say, Emporio Mall or a retailer who's in a mall to go to a last guy. Our model was that we'll go from this guy. And this is also misunderstood, by the way. I mean, I'm just trying to say this thing again, that somebody said कि ये तो 50-100 रुपए के पेमेंट होते हैं, इससे क्या होता है? मैंने कहा यही तो मैजिक है भाई. जब वो 50 रुपए वाला ऑटो रिक्शा वाला तुम्हारी बात को ट्रस्ट कर ले, तो वो बड़ा आदमी तो उसके तो पूरा अकाउंट मैनेजमेंट का ईमेल जाता है, वो ट्रस्ट क्या नहीं करेगा. The magic is when the auto rickshaw driver or this street vendor is able to trust. So I think the model started there. And then obviously COVID hua, yeah, any other activity, whenever the money as a cash currency circulation stops, come out as an acceleration. COVID was in fact discovery of another model because all the time payment has been free for the merchant. And COVID was the time when our soundbox that you would have seen took off, because COVID meant less number of people in the shop. So the person was inside the shop and working, and the person will hear the boss that payment of that much done, Paytm of that much done, and he would be nice. So and that is a paid subscription. So COVID brought commercial model to the payment actually. Surprisingly, unlike that we would have spent money for expansion, we discovered a commercial model. We right now have 7 million, I think we have announced. So 7 million devices out there in the market, which merchants pay subscription.
This is an amazing number. I think that deserves the loudest round of applause, because Paytm actually taught us how to spend money frugally, but yet effectively and efficiently, and has for women, usually, I think it has led to spending a lot less time counting the gaddis also.
आपके घर में women गड्डियां count करती हैं.
So on this note, I just want, because you're talking about women, I wanted to ask, sir, because I have really heard that Paytm believes in a lot of inclusivity, where females, where the women manpower is concerned, where handicap is concerned. So, sir, what is the thought process behind this? क्या आपको लगता है कि women are actually capable of doing stuff, they're more talented?
Yeah, I mean, I grew up in the shadow of my two elder sisters. You know what I'm saying? उन्होंने मेरे को डंडे मारे, उन्होंने मेरे को प्यार किया, तो मैं जो हूँ वो उनको acknowledge करते हुए, I would never say that women is any time less. In fact, I would rather say they are braver and smarter and more long-term committed. So I have this philosophy that these are 3 things that people work for: men or women, money, title, and job satisfaction. Men obviously work in this. आप लोग बंदे को पैसे दो ज़्यादा, वो move कर जाएगा. कोई नया title दे दो, उसके बाद move कर जाएगा. बाद में that person will think about the work profile. Women work for the same, absolutely in the reverse action actually. They want to get the respect and acknowledgement first. Title and money obviously follow, but in a reverse way. So the motivation of a woman is more about mothering or taking care or supporting the organization they belong to. Men see organization as a shoulder on which they can jump from to next level, and women see it like nurturing thing. So I will always be standing for it.
So I'm so glad that you said this, because you know एक time पे दुनिया ये कहती थी कि भाई women को development की जरूरत है, और आज एक time आप जैसे लोगों की वजह से आ गया है कि ऐसा लग रहा है कि development को women की जरूरत है.
Oh yes, very well said.
So Yash, would you like to just?
You know, a lot of the conversations you do is about creating value, you know, and then I think throughout the conversation you've defined that you want to create value for a lot of other people. And you know, I'm going to talk from the startups perspective. A lot of startups here, most of these questions are from startup, is about how do we now start looking at India in the new lens that we've found, fintech, you know, delivery in 15 minutes, all of these things. Where is the next big value creation opportunity? Where does, not for Paytm, like now that you're at that level, it's a different thing, but what about people starting up?
Yeah, totally. So I want to share this. I was sitting with some senior bureaucrat, and you know the Japan work we did. So the gentleman was talking about in the reference of some other country. तो उन्होंने मेरे से एक लाइन बोला, यार आपके साथ काम करके एक चीज अच्छी लगती है, क्योंकि आपसे ना बहुत लोग मिलने आते हैं हमसे, कहते हैं कि हमें अपने कंट्री को पेटीएम दे दो. आप क्यों नहीं दूसरी स्टार्टअप्स को बताते हैं that you all have an opportunity to create this for country. So I believe that right now we've reached a stage in startup ecosystem where the mature companies which will make money and free cash soon or are making some should start to think that what country can export. If we could export wheat, cotton, or related produces related to that, or IT services, why can't we export our products? मतलब जब FTA नेगोशिएशन हो तो यार एंटी ट्रस्ट रेगुलेशन एक इंडिया की कंपनी पे लगे यूएस में, क्या बात है, ये मेरी जिंदगी का ड्रीम है कि अमेरिकन रोके हमें कि यार इसको रोको। तो ऐसी जिंदगी हो ना जिसमें कि एक लाइफ टाइम तो बहुत अमेजिंग होगा। I really wish in my lifetime I get to see that America is thinking of sanctioning us as a companies, multiple of companies. और फिर आप negotiate करने जा रहे हो, देखो करना मत। I mean, my intention is not in a negative sense to look at it, but in an impact and a scale of deployment that our products are elsewhere. When you land, जब आप न्यूयॉर्क में लैंड करते हो तब आप देखते हो, जब आप जापान में लैंड करते हो तो आप देखते हो, आपको दिख रहा होता है कि ये कंपनी कहाँ की है, यार हमारे देश की कंपनी को भी तो नाम होना चाहिए। I mean, till how long we will be a back office of the world or a service center to the world? We have an opportunity and we have people. हमारे यहाँ माइंड तो है ना, देखो हमारे यहाँ के केपेबल लोग दुनिया को चला रहे हैं, यू नो, मतलब मोदी जी तो इंडिया चला रहे हैं और हमारे जो लीडर हैं वो सारे देश भर दुनिया भर की कंपनियों को चला रहे हैं। So we have a skill and ability. It is just that we did not have that opportunity to create in-house in India. I would rather say that because, and that too because India did not have a customer and audience. Now that we have it, we should build it and go out there and do it.
You're saying from country B to country A.
Yeah, I definitely want to tell you that startups of this country have an obligation and a responsibility to take our flag to other countries and be the country of that. That's correct.
I think startups can be synonymous with Atmanirbharta, which is the need of the hour.
And we will be the ones because देखो world दो part में divided है और multi tenant है. So there is west and there is east. Obviously, Western companies have traditionally been the innovation driver. If we use something in this country, we use it off West or otherwise manufacturing from Europe or some supplies from Japan. But why not these Southeast Asian countries or India, etc., have produced something that world is dependent on? I think the technology we can produce because we have an understanding of this. This is a flare of it. This is a flare. In my mind, this is an opportunity.
I think what works in India works around the world too, right? And with Nano taking the bold step, Tata Nano.
अगर ओला की एम्बिशन होती सेल्फ ड्राइव तो सड़क पे गाय हो या भैंस हो या रेड लाइट हो या ग्रीन लाइट हो, वो कार ऐसे चलते हुए जा रही है तो दुनिया की किस रोड पे नहीं चल पाएगी वो।
Zoho is one good example, right?
Zoho is and the exporting of the two-wheelers are. मैं तो बिल्कुल देखो मेरा एक बेंचमार्क है डेवलप्ड कंट्री में आपका कितना मार्केट शेयर है डॉट, डेवलपिंग और फ्रंटियर इकोनॉमीज तो ऑब्वियसली आपसे लेंगे।
Very good. Another question that I had was, what are the most unexpected lessons you've learned from the journey of building Paytm? Like really unexpected. And you know, one small request. You know, think of it like that pizza place we were in. There were a couple of us, and only thing common was the pizza. And what an amazing conversation! 3-4 hours of just Vijay being honest. No filters, no nothing. He was just being honest.
Instagram filter use कर रहा हूँ। Well, I think one of the things that I've learned, and ये true है traditional businesses के लिए भी और young businesses के लिए भी, that why do people come to work for you? Let's think about it. And we typically think उसको पैसे चाहिए होंगे, उसको life में ambition चाहिए, he will fulfill. But truest change agent that belong to your company will not come for purely money. I can write it, and I can tell you that the person who comes for money is waiting for your command to be told what to be done. But you always need a person who could do it by themselves. You are a young startup, you want somebody like that. You are an old company, you want somebody like that. And then it comes. I've learned that people polarize on the purpose. आप अगर अपनी कंपनी के पर्पस को इतने पैशनेटली बिलीव करते हो कि कोई और आए और कहे कि मुझे यही करना है. In other words, you are trying to discover a person who would say, I want to do this at this place or not. That is what I want to do. That is the most important thing that I learned, that you need to search for people who polarize for the purpose. After that, you just let them be. So people polarize.
What were the most unexpected moments? Like you could talk about pivotal moments or
the
most unexpected, like demonetization. A lot of people say that no one expected it and the biggest benefactor was.
Yeah, I mean, I will give you the most nearest example, credit disbursement, because this is very contemporary and many of you who could be following us know that we started to deliver जैसे हमने पेमेंट किया था ऐसे we started to do credit. So small credit to the shopkeeper. Now it's a very logical thing if I tell you post facto that you're receiving a payment from our QR or Soundbox or EDC, that you're receiving let's say 2,000 rupees a day. तो मैं आपको 500 रुपए दिन की EMI का एक डेली इंटरेस्ट का मैं लोन दे सकता हूँ. बहुत ही सिंपल सा प्रोडक्ट है, बट आपकी टिकट साइज बहुत छोटी हो जाएगी क्योंकि आप 2-3 महीने का लोन लोगे. So I remember that in a earning call, our average ticket size of all the loan that we delivered was something like 4,100 rupees. So the question asked to me was that when will you do large loans? This is so smaller ticket size. Would you even make money in this? And I said, I don't think it is the bug, it is a feature. We are trying to make the 4,000 rupee loan magic again to execute of delivery and execute of collection and then execute at a profitable level. Because once we can deliver 1,000 rupee, 2,000 rupee or 4,000 rupee, it's so easy to deliver 4,000, say 4 lakh or 4 crore rupees of loan, in my opinion. Easy matlab, tough to wo part hai na ki usko distribute or collect karo. So and this happened because my team believed in it. They wanted to do this. In fact, I want to say very profoundly that my credit team and I have a purpose set up between us. In this country, there are only 91 million people who got a formal loan. You want to trust this? It's uncomfortably small number. 91 million in a country of 1.4 billion is an extreme minuscule number to get a personal kind of loan, which is formal system. So I said, hum is number ko double karenge. We are aiming for incremental 100 million people to get a loan from us. And if we cannot do it, nobody else will. And na koi aur karega to hum hi hoenge. And now you needed people who believe in it. Because when you interview a person, you would always hear कि आप ये क्यों कर रहे हो, देखो ये कर दो, आप ये क्यों कर रहे हो, ये क्यों नहीं कर सकते. You keep meeting people and then you keep rejecting them. So it is very surreal to believe, but ultimately the chase is for a person who believes that what you are trying to do is what that person's purpose is. So I'm lucky to do that.
I want to remind the audience, there was a time, probably just before the pandemic, if you go to a shopkeeper and you tell them, I want to do Paytm, he wouldn't say, mat karo. Now he just pushes the barcode ahead. It's not because of acceptance of the QR code. It's actually because you should tell them the story behind how you give them the loan and the clearance time.
Yeah.
And the percentage. That's an ingenious idea in India.
Yeah.
And you want to explain it?
So this is exactly what happened in Japan also when we were going in Japan, and this is exactly what you're going to hear is what happened in India in pandemic also. New people misunderstand this. और जापान में आप लोगों ने देखा होगा वहाँ करेंसी चलती है. सब लोग some of you would have traveled Japan, and I was spooked. The most developed country and technology enabled and then cash. And the learning was that the shopkeeper would take cash because if you take a digital payment, it will be settled in the month end, महीने के end में. मतलब पूरे महीने के पैसे आपको 1, 2, 3, 4 तारीख में मिलते थे. I was like, वो ये क्या करने से है? And then वो arigato, मासा-सान और वो सान मुँह करते रहते थे. तो मेरे को धीरे-धीरे करके समझ में आया कि ये बहुत ही humble लोग हैं. ये fight नहीं करते. They would not negotiate with banking system to get the money in a real time. Now, this is also the reason that a small shop does not take digital payments because वो 2 दिन में settle होता है. T+2, if you know, this is called transaction plus 2 date the settlement. And this is the single thing that I could decide when we launched Paytm, that it will be T equal to 0, rupee equal to 1, and you have a choice of any amount of payment and all on a mobile phone. So when this problem used to be existing, that people will not take the payment, we used to tell them, आप set कर दो, direct payment ले लो अपने bank account में, शाम को ले लो payment bank account में, अगले दिन ले लो, जो आपको चाहिए वैसा ले लो. So the shops in India or elsewhere, by the way, this is what my belief is. The magic moment that happened when we were replacing cash as philosophy in our business model, we learned that if the technology is inferior to cash, मतलब जब आप मैं आपको 100 रुपए देता हूँ तो immediately आपके बैंक अपने पॉकेट में आ जाते हैं, तो settlement is instant. The amount is 100, 99 तो नहीं आएगा, or the execution is instant. So the thing that Paytm did was that it'll be 100, it'll be instant, and it'll be completely settled without requiring things. And these 3 things were the reason behind the scene that payment works.
I keep a note of all these amazing innovations and ideas, and it also comes back to the mindset. So the note's called Think Like. And whenever my conversation with Vijay, it's written Think Like Vijay, and there are points below it. Right? There are certain things I think entrepreneurs should really look up to. They don't I don't think all this is written in any book, but just how do you solve a problem? How do you think like
मुझे लगता है कि जब आप कस्टमर के जूते में खड़े हो जाते हो तो आपको सारी प्रॉब्लम खुद ही दिख रही होती है. आप सोच रहे हो तो क्या कर रहे हो यार, मेरे साथ इतना दुर्व्यवहार क्यों कर रहे हो, मेरे को पैसे मेरे बैंक अकाउंट में आज ही दे दो ना, नहीं तो मैं तुमसे ही मांगने जा रहा हूँ. मैं वही, I mean, I think it takes a lot, and I want to share this. The best products are that you make for yourself, because you are the customer, you know the problem of it. So if you can sit in the shoes of the customer, this is a privilege, I would say. that you can make technology or you can make financial system or any other thing by being.
So that leads to my next question before I give it to Sonali Singh. How do you validate if an identified customer problem is scalable idea? What are the learning habits you recommend to us?
ये भी एक मेरा लर्निंग है, अपनी मम्मी को कस्टमर मान के सोचना चाहिए. बहुत अमेजिंग हुआ, मेरी मम्मी बैंक अकाउंट में एंटर थिंक लाइक मतलब मैं सोच रहा हूँ कि मम्मी यूज कर लेगी नहीं कर लेगी क्योंकि यू मोस्ट ऑफ अस हैव क्यूरियस मॉम्स हु लाइक मैं करके देखूंगी ना, तुम मेरे को बताओ बेटे क्या कैसे होता है. नाउ माय मॉम वाज एंटरिंग पिन in her bank account entry page on Paytm app, except that it had a button called proceed. तो she used to say मैंने एंटर कर दिया नंबर लेकिन गया नहीं आगे. अब मुझे उसके बाद समझ में आया कि the lot of users don't think that there is an obligation to click on proceed. So maybe you don't know on Paytm, आप देखना अगर देखोगे आप पिन डालते हो तो उसके बाद proceed करने की जरूरत नहीं पड़ती, वो अपने आप आगे चला जाता है. So now and debit credit entries, it's very tough to build for debit credit. Common people don't understand. In fact मैं तो जानता ही नहीं, मैं हिंदी भाषी हूँ, तो debit मतलब दिए, DE, debit. अगर मेरे अकाउंट में पैसे डेबिट हुए तो मेरे अकाउंट से पैसे दिए, ऐसे सोचता हूँ मैं. नाउ कॉमन आदमी को समझ में नहीं आ सकता डेबिट क्रेडिट, तो हमने उसके लिए पासबुक को बिल्कुल डेबिट क्रेडिट एंट्री हटाई दी. हमने कहा यार प्लस माइनस सम और माइनस माइनस लिखना बड़ा अनकंफर्टेबल होगा, तो नॉर्मल अमाउंट लिखो और आने वाले को प्लस में लिख दो, ग्रीन में लिख दो. नाउ दीज आर द प्रोडक्ट्स nuances which you think like a customer, then you think, and the privileges of being yourself as a customer. I think that is the thought.
So truly, as you were mentioning about the cash part of it, cash pocket mein jata hai, I think you're truly a magician because you are actually competing with Gandhi ji. Gandhi ji, yes, because Paytm has overtaken cash as the most mode of payment. So I guess you've already overtaken Gandhi ji also.
So central banks have a central bank of the world, Swiss BIS it is called. So gentleman came to meet me. He said, I hear about so much. Show me. I showed. I said, and then this is the payment done. We looked at it. He says, it doesn't have bank name on it. Do people trust it? I said, it's Paytm. It means the trust. गांधी जी क्या, हमने तो वो मैं धारक को 500 रुपए अदा करने का बजट देता हूँ, उसके जो सिग्नेचर है हमने उसको हटा दिया.
See, I said it rightly. You're actually competing with him, and you're kind of wiping it.
मैं स्क्रीन वाले को प्रॉमिस करता हूँ कि पैसे आ गए.
So एक बहुत ही सीरियस क्वेश्चन पूछना चाहती हूँ मैं, बिकॉज यहाँ हमारी बहुत सारे यंगर जनरेशन भी बैठा हुआ है.
मैं सीरियस आंसर दूंगा.
सर क्वेश्चन सीरियस है, आंसर सीरियस होगा, फिर मुझ में और आप में फर्क क्या रह जाएगा?
आंसर अनसीरियस होगा.
Sir, ये startup word has become very overwhelming. You know, wherever you go, you are only hearing about startups. So we have a generation which is older to us, which gets very overwhelmed. Even people like, I guess, Saket and me also get very overwhelmed because we follow a traditional mode of business, an orthodox mode of business. And now our children, they have grown up in a startup world where it's like an ABCD of business. And they're getting very allured towards it. Every child, every youngster thinks that if they've not done a startup, probably their education is not worth it. And they might not want to follow the footsteps of their grandfather's business or their father's business. So what is the advice for them so that this can be an accepted feature by that generation and a non-art traditional method of business is accepted features by this generation?
So before you do something, you should know why it happens. जैसे कि you may believe that the money should be sent using phone, but you should know why money is sent. In other words, मेरा ये मानना है सभी यंग बच्चों के लिए जो कॉलेज से पढ़ के आ रहे हैं, पहले 2 साल आपको 100% नौकरी करनी चाहिए. And if you let's say study in UK, you should actually work in UK or not in India. Why? Because you have to at least acknowledge of education's what outcome it is. And 2 to 3 years is the time why now that you would have realized कि हमें करना क्या चाहिए, लाइफ में क्या है आगे. Because प्रीमेच्योर तो कुछ भी अच्छा नहीं होता. मैं जितनी कॉलेज के अंदर एक अगर कभी कोई एंजल इन्वेस्टमेंट का कुछ समिट या कुछ हो रहा होता है जाता हूँ, तो उसमें एक स्टार्टअप जरूर होती है, नोट शेयरिंग की स्टार्टअप. कितने लोग हैं इस कमरे में जिनको लगता है कि नोट शेयरिंग कुड बी अ बिग अपॉर्चुनिटी? बिल्कुल ही नहीं है, राइट? मतलब वो फोटो स्टेट होती रहती है और उसके नोट शेयरिंग करेंगे. बट you have not seen the world. That is why you are not able to understand that petroleum drilling is the biggest, richest man of this country. क्योंकि आप तो कॉलेज से निकलते एकदम फटाफट से स्टार्टअप बनाने में लग गए. So one of the things that I want to tell you here is that taking time to understand where the value chain role that you will play is something that happens after 2-3 years. Just by coming out of college and getting into startup, you're doing disservice to yourself. You will be a mediocre small kid if you think that you would be able to run a business or do yourself a justice of your life's opportunity just at a time when you are getting out of college. you need to know the world and understand that, oh, this is the value chain roles which will be most clean in your mind. So मेरे को कोई
Wonderfully
confusion नहीं है, जो
explained.
सारे जो बच्चे होते हैं वो बहुत जल्दी करना चाहते हैं, वो fashionable हैं.
नहीं
And
सर,
startup
आपके मुंह से
business-
सुनेंगे तो उनको बहुत सीखने को समझने को
2 years
मिलेगा.
and 3 years you should do the job.
My son is also right here. His daughter is right here. So we are asking very pertinent questions.
2 to 3 years just be a job. In fact, मैंने 6 job change करे थे. मैं खुद ही समझ नहीं पा रहा था. अच्छा HR department क्या होता है? तो I used to go to HR department. आप क्या करते हो? आप क्यों? admin department. आप क्या करते हो? ये क्यों है? अच्छा अगर ये नहीं हुआ तो क्या होगा? How do you get a customer? I mean, I think that even a best of the business school can't teach you the thing that you will learn in a company. बिल्कुल. I mean, जाओ यार जॉब में करो, दूसरे के पैसे से कुछ इनकम करो और अपने सीख के आओ क्या बिजनेस होता है.
दूसरे के पैसे से सीखो,
क्या
फिर
होता है?
अपने पैसे पे लगाओ.
हाँ.
True, sir. Sir, one more quick question because आजकल जो scams हो रहे हैं वो इतने जबरदस्त हो रहे हैं, phishing हो रही है, Netflix पे एक series आ रही है जमतारा, about hacking, phishing, and Paytm at your end you handle such sensitive information, customer information about banks, about stuff. So, sir, how do you manage to ethically maintain the secrecy of the data and the user's data?
So number one, this is exactly what is called in payment and financial service industry. Your challenger is not another company which is doing the same business, but the fraudster. Because you will have an obligation to refund the money or give the money, and the margin is 100 रुपए में 10 bips, 10 पैसा भी नहीं, मतलब 10,000 रुपए में 10 पैसे बनते हैं, ऐसा मार्जिन है, which is a very very small money. तो 10 रुपए का लॉस हुआ तो आप समझ सकते हो कि कितना बड़ा लॉस हुआ. In other words, the financial services industry is more victim of fraud-led risks than a competition-led risk. And in this case, we created a labs system in Paytm Canada because my friend was going there and we wanted to recruit internationally reputed number of data scientists and so on. So we have our own risk and fraud management system. I am very happy to tell you that we actually benchmark ourselves not just for the country, but for the world, that Paytm has the best risk and fraud management systems of the world right now, and the number that it is. So I just want to tell you one thing, it is a technology machine that works, and it is what it is. I mean, there is no secret about it, that if you can't take care of the customer's money, forget about customer won't come, regulator won't let you be.
Wonderful, sir. So I can now tell my dad that it's safe to use Paytm coming from the horse's mouth.
100%. And I want to also tell you one thing, that our regulator of this country is actually the reason this country is safe. I also want to acknowledge that the amount of attention regulator forces on compliance of keeping money safe is so dramatically high that is not even in elsewhere. जैसे कि आप लोग यहाँ पे जब कार्ड स्वाइप करते हो, वो स्वाइप खत्म कर दिया उन्होंने, टैप के बाद पिन डालते हैं. इंटरनेशनली आप कार्ड को बिल्कुल, मतलब इट्स शॉकिंग टू मी कि इंटरनेशनली कैसे पैसे बह रहे होते हैं. यही तो हमारे देश की कमी है, हमारे पैसे बह रही हैं.
One of the many conversations I have with him on chat, I remember, because you said about your father, right? My grandfather uses Paytm and he used to give me feedback and I used to pass it to him. And I used to be like Vijay bhai thoda complex hai. Like interesting, let me see what I can do. And I think right now he does not have Phone Pay, does not have Google Pay, he just has Paytm. So it's a very big thing.
I also want to tell you one thing, that when you spawn a whole industry, nothing better than that to believe into it. So मुझे तो बिल्कुल फर्क नहीं पड़ता, जब आपको आके Google भी कॉपी करे, Amazon भी कॉपी करे, तो बोलो ना यार, तेरे घर में जाके हम भी आएंगे. अभी आप हमारे यहाँ हो, हम आपके यहाँ भी आएंगे.
I was actually going to ask you another question, but you interestingly said this thing. But how much will it go on where new industries will keep disrupting old ones? There has to be a time, and this question was asked to me by one of our
It's not a new industry.
There has to be a time where they coexist, or how can they coexist?
So I think, because I told you in the beginning that technology cross industry is different than industry cross technology. So industry people also start to come up to that, right? I mean, I would believe that Walmart is no more going to be disrupted by another online person, because Walmart itself has become significantly digital or online. In other words, industry also come up to so who dies is the one who does not change.
But we see that a lot in the banking sector, right? I have
Now I think
KH, all these banks. And it's so difficult. I mean, they come up with a product called Cherry, thinking it's cool.
I in my fundamental belief that, forget about banking, which is significantly regulated. I'm talking about open technologies. For example, like हम आजकल Novel को use नहीं करते, हम Adobe को use करते हैं अभी भी, और Microsoft की existence crisis में थी. Because they changed, they became cloud company, they became relevant once again. So it is, and IBM की relevancy इतनी नहीं है जितनी होती थी पहले. So the core philosophy I am trying to help you here is that everybody has to continue to innovate, and it is not, even if you are a technology company or even if you are a traditional company, even this privilege is not available to a technology company not to innovate. आपको करना पड़ेगा.
So that's the reason why you changed your role to CRO now. Chief Relevance Officer. He calls himself the Chief Relevance Officer.
मेरी नौकरी Chief Relevance Officer.
So last questions by Yash and Sonali before we all take some questions from the audience, please. Yeah. I don't want to tire him out.
No, we might
can
just
go
get
on for
tired. He
another
doesn't
few
look like to be the tired
Yeah,
man.
he won't.
हाँ, मैं नौकरी नहीं करता. मतलब मुझे बिल्कुल ही सरप्राइज होता है, क्वेश्चन सुन सुन के भी मुझे बहुत लर्निंग मिलती है. इनफैक्ट फंड रेजिंग में जितनी जगह जा सकते हो सबको जाना चाहिए, बिकॉज द क्वेश्चन एन इन्वेस्टर इज आस्किंग आर द फर्स्ट प्रिंसिपल क्वेश्चन. सो आई लव दैट थिंग.
So how do you not manage to micromanage? Because as a woman, I even want to see the Google map because I don't trust my driver to follow it rightly. How do you
Yeah.
not micromanage?
So yeah, this is true for every entrepreneur in this room, and people who are successful businessmen would have learned. It's an obligation that you have to hand off. In fact, it is an important thing to believe that if you don't hand off from yourself, you will be consumed in the scale that it will be dwarfing you. In other words, आपको ये छोड़ना ही पड़ेगा. It takes time to understand how to give up on something that you love to do or you expect this is the critical thing to be done. But ultimately, मुझे ये लगता है कि सीट और जैसे कहते हैं ना चेयर रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी बना देती है, रिस्पॉन्सिबल बना देती है. तो आप अगर किसी व्यक्ति को किसी सीनियर टाइटल में ला रहे हो या किसी एक डेडिकेटेड इंडिपेंडेंट रोल में ला रहे हो, I think the responsibility of the role makes that person also to learn. So in other words, it'll go through a dip, but it'll come back rising, shining better. And if you are not able to find the correct person, just keep trying with few more persons. Ultimately, it's an obligation to manage, to be handed off, to be managed. सब कुछ सक्सेशन प्लानिंग है. आप अपनी लाइफ में नहीं तो जो एजिंग होती जाती है, आप अभी भी ये देख रहे हो कि किसका ट्रैवल अप्रूवल करना है, तो यार जिंदगी में आगे कब बढ़ोगे, खुद आगे क्यों बढ़ोगे. मेरी एक बहुत प्रोफाउंड सी कोट जो मैं अपने आप के लिए बार बार रिमाइंड करता था और मेरे उस पर लिखा हुआ है फेसबुक पे, मैंने लिखा था एक बार, यू शुड नॉट कम ऑन द वे ऑफ योर ओन सक्सेस. सो दैट्स व्हाट इट इज.
That's wonderfully put. That's wonderfully put.
Yeah.
I think all of us, if we just manage to remember this, we'll be able to multitask quite a bit.
Yeah.
So, my last question, summary of all of these things is, where is Vijay, Paytm and India going next? And by next, I mean in this whole world of generative AI and all that we keep hearing of. 2 years ago, it was metaverse, today is generative AI. As a chief relevance officer of Paytm and even as an individual who probably keeps on thinking next, where do you think these three things, Vijay, Paytm and India, are going next?
मैं Paytm में ही हूँ और Paytm India से ही है. ये तो चलो एक ही क्वेश्चन हो गया मेरे लिए. Very easy. The amount of compounding that have happened in technology for last 20 years have made technology to become even more critically different than the previous. मैं आप लोगों को ये समझाना चाहता हूँ, अगर आप फिजिकल बैंक ब्रांच में जाते थे और फिर नेट बैंकिंग करना स्टार्ट किया, सो बैंक हैड टू चेंज ड्रामेटिकली लॉट. ऑपरेशन रिस्क, चेक मैच करना, साइन मैच करना, ये सब कॉन्सेप्ट ही अलग हो गए. फिर पिन देना, पिन को डिफरेंट तरीके से करना, मतलब इमेजिन द अमाउंट ऑफ हार्डवर्क बैंक हैड टू डू typically before bank branch existed only to a internet banking existed. Is the same amount of technology change that is happening when internet or mobile internet exists, and this with the AI on the other side. क्योंकि आपको the amount of technology available to your competition is dramatically more, and your fraudster is dramatically more for your industry. So whether you are retailer, whether you are service, whether you are financial service, this AGI, I call it advanced general intelligence, as we want to call about it, will be the age when computing will have compounding more information and ability than a human mind, which is like less than this decade. Effectively, what you're talking is that आपकी कंपनी को, अब आप खुद सोचो, हॉर्स कार्ट के जमाने से कार आ गए, लिफ्ट ना होने से लिफ्ट आ गया, इंटरनेट ना होने पे इंटरनेट आ गया, कंप्यूटर के अंदर वो इंटेलिजेंस आ गई जो ह्यूमन के अंदर है. अभी हम क्या करते हैं, प्रोग्राम बनाते हैं, स्टेप 1, स्टेप 2, स्टेप 3, इफ स्टेप 3 इक्वल टू चेंज देन स्टेप 4 लाइक दिस. ये हमारा प्रोग्राम लीनियर होता है. अब वो 3 डायमेंशनल कस्टमर की तरह से बिहेव करेगा, ह्यूमन की तरह से बिहेव करेगा. You could talk to it, you could, and this is not the magic of talking, it is what this person thinks, and that thinking, when it supersedes the ability of human thinking, is dramatically different. I mean, I'm not going to give the product differentiation and uniqueness right now in example. I am sincerely telling this in this room. I believe this will be the biggest compounding technology wave that I will see in my life cycle, because connectivity happened. So computing happened, connectivity happened, internet happened, smartphone happened. This actually compounds on top of it as a bigger revolution. So that is what it is.
So what's next for Paytm? You know,
AGI, so AI first products will come up. I mean, I'm just not, because I'm listed, so I'm not supposed to say it publicly. So otherwise, I would just say that AI first products will be different. देखो, आप workflow में technology डाल दो, एक part होता है, और technology first product बनाओ, वो अलग part होता है. तो मैं कहता हूँ कि AI first will be the magic. AI in the workflow सबको समझ में आता है क्या होगा. So that's what.
So in future, do you see that right now we have to scan it with the mobile phones? Do you, in future,
100%.
do you see that we can swipe our own hands over a QR code and things will be sorted out?
We already have piloted a smile payment, and I mean it sincerely. Like,
I know
will
that's
that
why I'm
be Mr.
asking this
Sharma?
question so that everybody gets
So
to know.
somebody says that, is that it? Will that be, so that's 4,300 rupees.
And you just swipe
Is
it.
that it, Mr. Sharma? Yeah. No, you don't do anything.
Oh, you just
No, nothing.
box.
I want to share this fact that I'm at a check-in time, no swiping, no card punching in, no phone QR scan, nothing. Walk in. I repeat, walk in. No huddle, no huddle, no hurdle of crossing an hump, picking the product and getting invoice. Yes, we have done this as a checkout.
Last question, Yash.
इससे ना हमें डर लगता है कि कस्टमर सोचेगा, दुकानदार सोचेगा ये क्या हो रहा है. तो एक्चुअली में ये टेक्नोलॉजीज तब तक नहीं रिलीज होती जब तक कि कोई और रिलीज ना करे. मैं आपको ये भी बताना चाहता हूँ. Sometimes some technologies are like so overwhelmingly shocking and magical. You say that should I be the one to launch it, और कुछ कोई करेगा ये देखो. But मैं बताना चाहता हूँ, this is so easy and this is what it is.
you know, it's a monumental day to just have these conversations and for many other reasons. But I'll ask you a big question that probably a lot of people out here have. Not more than 5 or 6 years ago, people would say China, 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 China this, China's doing that, China's doing this kind of payment. Is it changing now? I mean, you know, I think they have the advantage of the same billion plus people, use of technology for, you know, below the pyramid, all of that. How is that changing for India? And this was again a part of my earlier question about where is India going?
क्या होता है कि 50 ओवर का मैच होता है. पहले 30-35 ओवर आपके बैट्समैन आउट ही नहीं हो और छक्के चौके रगड़ रहे हैं. फिर बाद में आप भाग के विकेट गिरा रहे हो, हिट विकेट कर रहे हो. सो लोग सोच रहे हैं क्या हो रहा है. सो ये हो गया चाइना.
Vijay,
I don't have, I'm not going to say something.
Besides Paytm, you have lots and lots of things to manage. The most important, your sense of humor.
Oh, you like my sense of humor?
I love it, sir. I love it.
Very.
While Yash and me were figuring out what would we be asking you, he was saying something and I wasn't paying attention. I said, just hang on, I'm Paytming my driver. I actually tapped in today because I was busy Paytming and he kept talking to the walls, I think.
He said, I'm just Paytming right now. I'm like, great.
Vijay, when I met you that day, that evening, so very important question came out. Ki
Melody इतनी चॉकलेटी कैसे बनी?
This is exactly how Vijay is. जो post IPO थोड़ा ये हो गया, but this is exactly how.
उस रात को जब ये पूछा गया,
ऐसे बात करो जैसे कि कोई रात में कुछ हुआ हो. आपके साथ कुछ हुआ मुझे पता नहीं, मैं तो डरा गया.
नहीं वो that day we asked you कि what's your ambition? Where do you see Vijay? What is the end goal of Vijay? And you said something very different, that Paytm is not the starting and the end.
Yeah.
What is it? Can you share with us?
Yeah, I mean, the audience is different, so I mean, the course
In a guarded way, you can say.
Yeah, in a nice way. I mean, in a total belief that I carry, that I genuinely want to be the change agent personally, who sees in the lifespan. I think I'm privileged to see a life that long, that I've seen people in poverty, myself lived in that. And I've seen, like I shared, that billions of dollars and people with hundreds of $1 billion. I think the learning and the experience that I've had, if I can actually contribute it back to the society and the country that I live in, that'll be my privilege. And that is what.
This was not the answer, but I truly believe in what you're
No,
saying.
But I
Huh?
generally would want to play.
100 billion,
Yeah,
conservative
I mean,
number.
Yeah, I mean, as an individual, there is no secret about it that obviously you will be judged. So ये मैं ये बता रहा था जो ये बोल रहा है मैं बता देता हूँ that deep down inside, I'm a very socialist to the people whom I interact with or I serve them. I care for them. I care for them in a socialist way, not in a capitalist way. मतलब मैं charges लगाने से पहले सोचता हूँ उसको charge लगाने की जरूरत क्या है यार किसी और तरीके से कर लेंगे. In that kind of world. And at the same point in time, I also know the world will treat me like a capitalist success or not, because the success is being returning and leveraging capital excess that you have. So yes, there is no doubt about it. I wanted to build India's first $100 billion product company, and that is what it is.
Thank you, Vijay.
Thank
So
you.
we have time for a few questions. We have a lot of audience.
Yeah, please.
Please, yeah, Simresh.
Yes. पहला सवाल 1000 रुपए के लिए. No problem, I'll hear it.
Rest of the audience also. Very simple question. We've had a long evening. Thank you, Vijay, for giving your life journey as a title to my book, Growth Mindset. So first of all, that was an acknowledgement of your life journey. My simple question is a personal question to you. What are your two constants in life and two favored variables in life? What do you keep changing and what do you stick to?
Yeah. So fundamentally, I believe that there is a common fundamental sequence of growth or innovation that happens. It's a very classic thing. You try out few things, something will work, then you follow the success of what follows, and then you go for it. So the template is fixed more or less, and the industries I apply it are very different. For example, like I've been in content industry, I've been in telecom industry, I've been in payment industry, financial industry. And the beauty is that the template of one kind, which remains the constant, the rule, fundamental rule that follow the success, leave the failure, do not trust what is necessarily being told because there must be a reality of it. Those kind of rules are standard and any industry you can go in. So the industry type and the business becomes a variable and the philosophies remain more or less the constant.
Paritosh.
Absolutely. So Vijay sir, सबसे पहले तो बहुत धन्यवाद. Thank you so much for coming here. Fantastic session. Yash, very happy birthday to you.
Oh, happy birthday. Thank you. Wow, I would have not guessed. Thank you.
तो पहला मेरा promise होगा और दूसरा मेरा question होगा. So promise ये आपने एक बहुत important बात बोली, which is there have to be companies now from Bharat that build for the world, right?
Yeah.
आपने करके दिखाया है. मेरा promise ये है that the business school that we're building will replicate and probably better Stanford GSB at a price point जो भारत का price point.
Oh,
Right? We will do that. That's for sure. Thank you so much. Question ये. So when Paytm was small, you would have taken decisions, good, bad, both. When Paytm is now a public company, you are taking decisions, good, bad, both. कोई ऐसा framework है जो constant रहा है? A framework that has worked for you. कि यार ये मैं जब implement करता हूँ, I get to the right decision faster.
Yeah, it's easy. So I'm going to say something else. The framework is that there is no correct decision. Because all decisions in a context are correct or wrong. And in other words, the same thing, which is food for someone is a poison for someone. And that is what matters. So the framework should be that I'm ready to take a decision. And if it is wrong, I'm ready to take a U-turn. It is very challenging to people around you to accept. कल तो आप ये बोल रहे थे, आज आप ये क्यों बोल रहे हो? नया context आया भाई, समझ में आया ना कुछ नया चीज. या फिर lot of people think as a business as themselves that I think I'm this. मैं तो यही करूँगा. नहीं, ऐसा क्यों है? Nothing is fixed and fixated on you by God above the business environment. So why are you fixed at it? मेरे opinion में the biggest framework that I have survived on is that if you are going in this with some assumption and some decisions that you're taking, you should be ready to junk every of those and take a U-turn from the very fact that you took it.
But does it not bother you? क्योंकि हर एक decision के साथ there's a financial number.
I think future survival बहुत ही simple होता है कि what you are staking is future, all of it or some of it. तो आज के थोड़े पैसे छोड़े हैं और कल के जो हैं वो ज़्यादा बड़े होते हैं.
Sanjay Bhatia ji.
Thank you so much.
बहुत अच्छा लगा सुन के आपको और बहुत मजा आया. मैं तो सिर्फ यही कहूंगा कि आप इतनी शुद्ध हिंदी बोलते हैं और हिंदी का उच्चारण बहुत अच्छा है. आप अपना प्लेटफॉर्म हिंदी में क्यों नहीं रखा?
हाँ.
पेटीएम की कुछ हिंदी बनानी थी.
बहुत ही सही बात बोलते हो। तो मैं ये बताना चाहता हूँ कि ये जो बोल रहे थे हम एम्पावरमेंट एंड गिविंग एक्सेस टू द टीम, इट्स एक्चुअली इन द हैंड ऑफ अ टीम। वो जब ट्रांसलेशन करके लाते हैं तो मैं क्वेश्चन में आ जाता हूँ कि क्या लिख रहे हो यार, ऐसे नहीं होता। आई वांट टू शेयर वन इंटरेस्टिंग फैक्ट दैट हम लोगों ने जब रिचार्ज प्लेटफॉर्म लॉन्च किया था तो हमारा ब्लॉग यूज्ड टू बी कॉल्ड स्टे चार्ज्ड, because we were talking in first 2-3 years recharge and bill payments, and the blog was stay charged. इसकी हिंदी क्या होगी? Anybody in this room? Stay charged. इसकी हिंदी करके दो। क्या क्या? बहुत बढ़िया। तो हम सो मेरी इसकी हिंदी, मेरी जो टी शर्ट हमने बनाई उसकी थी लगे रहो, perseverance, stay charged. It was perseverance in a slang way that you have to be at it. So, bilkul uttejiत raho, charged. Interesting. So, Sara, thank you so much, and I wish that my team that I have learns it. And मैं तो एक चीज सीख चुका हूँ, और ये बात सारे लोगों के लिए ट्रू है कि it's not what you expect the team will do, it's what they believe in they will do. उनको लगता है कि हिंदी की जरूरत नहीं है। मैं सरप्राइज रहता हूँ कि मैं कहता हूँ यार मेरे को जब हिंदी समझ में नहीं आती तो उन लोगों को कहती हूँ जो आपके कस्टमर है। बट वी ट्राइड इंग्लिश, अगर आप देखें, और वो लैंग्वेज सिलेक्शन एक यूजर की प्रोफाइल से ऑटोमेटिक हो जाता है, बिकॉज यू आर इन दिल्ली, सो यू वुड नॉट बी सीइंग अनलेस यू एक्सप्लिसिटली गो यस लैंग्वेज इज देयर।
सर, जब मैं आपसे इंक्लूसिवनेस का क्वेश्चन पूछ रही थी तो मैंने सोचा मैं समावेशिता बोलूंगी, बट मुझे लगा कि सब मेरी तरफ देख रहे होंगे कि probably she's lost her sense.
No, I want to tell you that this is where the being self also comes. मेरे को तो बिल्कुल फर्क नहीं पड़ता। समांतर पट संधारित्र, पैरेलल प्लेट कैपेसिटर, प्रतिरोध, रेजिस्टेंस, सहती गुणा वेग, संवेग, मोमेंट। I don't feel bad about it. I mean, you should be you.
Hello sir, मैं आशीष हूँ, founder at Grip Invest. Really motivated and inspired from this session. मैंने क्वेश्चन यशराज जी को सेंड किया था. Thanks to him for inviting me. Question is, there are a lot of things that we need to unlearn in the process. One thing that you mentioned was like not micromanaging and learning, right? Just wanted to hear more of your things that you unlearned. Don't want to get into details, but if you can just 4 or 5 top points that I can take them away.
So I'll tell you what, हम लोग as a founder, हमारे अंदर बहुत, we believe that we are the truest champion of the customer and the product, because I'm the founder, and I believe that that is true to a certain extent. But over the period, teammates come and they can mend your own thinking, and you should be ready to say, I may not be thinking the best for the customer and best for it, and I should listen to them. This is a dramatic learning, because you are ready to think yourself as a secondary and your teammate as a primary way of your own purpose that you set out. So जब हम फाउंडर की तरह बिहेव करते हैं तो हमारे अंदर वो अहम ब्रह्मास्मि वाला एजेंडा रहता है कि मैं ही ब्रह्म हूँ और मैं ही क्रिएट करूंगा, लेकिन आई थिंक वो टीममेट आते हैं वो भी बहुत अच्छा कर देते हैं, तो वो भी करना चाहिए. So unlearn yourself is also the fact that your role will be unlearned. That is important.
Cool. Thank you.
Next to him, please.
Hello.
Please introduce yourself.
I'm Shreyan. मैं ये पूछना चाह रहा था कि शुरू में, मतलब अभी तो काफी एडवर्टीजमेंट हो गया था डीमोनेटाइजेशन के वक्त, शुरू में आप वेंडर्स को कैसे उनको मोटिवेट करते थे कि QR कोड लगाओ, तुमको इससे पेमेंट आएगा, मतलब बैंक अकाउंट जोड़ना, फोन से पैसा लेना, मतलब ये इतनी मेहनत कैसे, या कुछ ट्रिक था तो क्या था, इनको कैसे समझाया?
अरे मैं क्या बोलूं, actually 0 to 1 journey is so profoundly challenging. What you are talking about is exactly जो मुझे लगता है कि जो मैजिक का कंपनी कोई लग्जरी होती है, जो 0 to 1 में होता है ना, कि जब दुकानदार को कन्विंस करना होता है ऐसे पैसा आएगा. तो मुझे अभी भी याद है, हमने नोएडा में 2015 में, आई थिंक ठंड के दिन थे, तो फरवरी मार्च के दिन होंगे, हमने किसी दुकान पे लाके QR लगाया, क्योंकि हमें लग रहा था कि हमारे ऑफिस के लोग बहुत सारे हैं जो कस्टमर हैं. तो वो दुकानदार कंफ्यूज कि क्या होगा, लेकिन मुझे लगता है कि हम अंडर एस्टिमेट करते हैं किसी कस्टमर के इंटरेस्ट को उसके चेंज होने में. We always underestimate that a poor person or a person who is not, let's say, poor in technology will be accepting and embracing technology. अगर हम ये मानने लग जाएं, if we start to believe that this person wants to live a better life, this shopkeeper wants to do better, they will be a very different thing. So हम लोग इसी assumption से आए we give this shopkeeper a QR code and वो अपनी तरफ से हमें 10 फीचर बताने लग गया, सर आप ये कर दो, ये हो जाएगा, हो जाएगा. So my answer is that early on you have to try out for yourself, but as a senior leader or senior product manager or founder, your direct on ground touch will be a big important privilege whenever the product is hitting the market, whichever kind of market you have it, because the feedback that your early customers will give will become the championing feedback for your product. And मैं कहूँगा कि हम underestimate ही करते हैं कि हमें customer कितना चाहते हैं.
Thank you. Shabnam Singhal, last question.
Yep.
Good afternoon, sir. Vijay ji, one of the few people who is an advocate of private equity and investors. I'm in a Marwadi family, in a traditional business house where people not only disregard that this world doesn't exist of PE, and I'm probably the only one working in generating funds. We've done about 9 odd exits. We've raised money. We've been the largest fundraiser for a Delhi real estate for almost about 1100 crores. But people, 2 questions. First, why do people take equity with so much pain? And 2, you started with a 9-people team. What was your mantra to motivate and for them not to leave and to actually tell them, भैया हो जाएगा, बढ़ जाएंगे, मत जाओ छोड़ के?
हाँ. So पहला question बहुत interesting है. Why do people take private equity?
And the second thing is, when you start saying RR, IR, because I advised to IVCA, we in fact, Saket ji's, we had a real estate summit with India Venture Capitalist Association, Grant Thornton as knowledge partner, and our real estate. And even people like Rajan and Neeraj Bhardwaj or all our people, I mean, they'll start talking lingo and no one, I can guarantee no one in this room would be like, RR, ye, wo, they'll say, ye bol kya raha hai? And especially in real estate, they would say, not interested.
Yeah, actually, I have.
They don't understand the private equity that, look, we are trying to expand this business while not taking away your ownership.
Yeah, that's right. So this is an important thing. A lot of founders in this room, not just traditional businesses, feel uncomfortable to take a shareholder on the capital. In fact, मैं ये बताना चाहता हूँ और मैं बहुत negative बात बोलने वाला हूँ कुछ लोगों के बारे में. So it's a generational shorthand, but not necessarily on everyone. For example, like traditionally, business used to be owned and controlled by families so that there is all cost, etc., profit management, optimization in the name of tax, in the name of inheritance, in the name of estate creation, and so on and so forth. So typically, they would not take a shareholder because then they will have to comply to a shareholder expectations, which are minority shareholders protections and so on. So traditional knowledge have been that let's control the company, let's own the country, and हम ना bank से पैसे ले लेंगे. So luckily, people have been those who have got money from the bank for their businesses and they have actually been able to take off. But companies like us, or companies sometimes in traditional businesses also, do not get access to the risk capital. So the question is about the risk capital. Can a bank or your own family support the risk that you are taking? Answer is you should let that be. And if they are not, then you will participate with somebody on an equity level. There is no other alternate. So when we were saying that we want to build this, forget about bank, which is a traditional debt-led business model, even domestic investors would not invest. So the question that why do people stay away from traditional background towards equity is more or less because equity comes with lots of quote unquote baggage, obligation to manage it in a particular way. And there is no secret about it in this country. Lot of things have happened in past with people who have put the equity and to themselves. That is why people go back also. Whether it is an environment, whether it is a very promoter, whether it is something that happened in the company. In my opinion, it is also a nice governance, organization, institution building metrics. इसीलिए वो diverse shareholder लेना पसंद करते हैं नहीं करते हैं. A lot of people don't like to get listed also for the same reason. To the second question, how to make believe that 9-people team and 10-people team believes that ये हो जाएगा. मैं तो अपनी जिंदगी को लोगों से पूछता हूँ, what is your motivation? What is that you are here for? What is that you want to build? What is that you want to feel happy about? And my answer is that if something that we're doing can take you there, then why will you not believe in this? On a dip day, on a high day, मेरा ये आप लोगों ने rafting करी rafting? A lot of you must have gone rafting. तो जो लोग बहुत रिपीट राफ्टिंग में जाते हैं उनको नॉर्मल चप्पू चलाने में बिल्कुल मजा खत्म हो जाता है, फिर जब रैपिड आता है तभी उनको मजा आता है. Oh wow, we are enjoying. And that is what I tell them. जब वो डिप जा रहे होते मैं कहता हूँ भाई अभी ना मजा आने वाला है, अब स्टोरी बनेगी, फोकलोर बनेगी, मिथ बनेंगे, काम चलेगा, यही तो स्टोरी होगी. तो whenever we go down I say woo.
Ladies and gentlemen, Vijay Shekhar Sharma,
Thank you,
up
thank
close and personal, standing ovation, please.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you everyone. Thank you.
And can I request our former president to please join in, please?
Thank you.
Should we come in the front? Easier? Let's come here.
I heard you for first time.
President